Chapter 153. This gave Lu Wu a headache, but he would not reject it since it would help the promotion of the game. After all, the game manufacturers only cared about profits, but Lu Wu cared about how to expand and strengthen the power of the players. If advertisements were to be placed in the game, it would naturally destroy the gaming experience, so Lu Wu rejected it. The appearance of the gaming pods instantly excited the majority of domestic players, especially those who were dissatisfied with the safety of Battle Online for 12 hours. After a discussion on the forum, they collectively began to purchase the gaming pods from the Jieda Corporation. This device is not compatible with this game, although he had never understood what Lu Wu was thinking. But this time, none of the platforms rejected Lu Wu's proposal. The exclusive 3-month license signed by Lu Wu and Wu Guori had finally expired. However, the problem now was that although Battle Online could be downloaded into the gaming pods, a game notification popped up when they clicked on the game icon. On the day of the launch of Dragon Nation, the Jieda Corporation announced to the public that the game had reached a partnership with all the well-known domestic game manufacturers. They could remove many restrictions such as the safety time set in the game. They never expected that the inability to operate Battle Online in the gaming pods would have such a huge impact. For example, how the gaming pods could replenish the body's needs with nutrients when the players were playing the game for a long time, and even help muscle exercise to prevent muscle atrophy. Similarly, it was easy for the players to defeat other powerful creatures, but it would be very difficult to kill them. However, just when they thought that the problem was finally solved, the feedback from the players became even more intense. The number of refunds increased to more than 2 million. At the same time, the Jieda Corporation also showed a series of functions of the gaming pods to the media. The conditions they gave were basically to buy out the foreign operating rights of the game in one go, and to open the Soul Coin top-up function for foreign versions to profit. However, after a detailed discussion, Lu Wu rejected all of them. This was because the reasons for the bad reviews from the players who refunded the game were mostly the same. Battle Online can't be operated, bad review. He did not have that much time to meet them one by one. However, the conditions that Lu Wu offered to those platforms were naturally not as good as the one he offered to Wu Guori. Apart from not providing advertising fees, he also stipulated that these platforms must promote Battle Online on the homepage of their platforms once a month. After the battle between the players and the evil spirits, Lu Wu had a new idea, which was to subdue the Rock Ghost King for his own use. After all, what Lu Wu lacked the most right now was high-end combat power. Compared to other games that spent money on advertising on the platforms, Lu Wu's conditions were undoubtedly harsher. At this time, the Jieda Corporation's gaming pods had officially started selling. For example, if players didn't have the strength to kill the evil Ghost General instantly, the evil Ghost General could come and go as it pleased. However, Lu Wu still rejected the offer. After Lu Wu's firm attitude dissuaded some of the distributors, new foreign game manufacturers approached him and explained that they could give up on topping up the game and the buyout system. However, they hoped to gain profit by embedding advertisements in the game. That was because those who understood and experienced the game knew how influential it would be in the future. As for profiting from Battle Online, he had never even thought about it. What he wanted was to rely on Battle Online to promote the influence of their platform overseas, thereby driving the profits of other sectors. He had high hopes for Battle Online and felt that it would be popular overseas. It was as simple as that. On the first day of sale, the Jieda Corporation received orders for 4 million gaming pods. The stocks that they had prepared beforehand were being shipped in large quantities. This made the executives of the Jieda Corporation realize that they had a huge advantage by being one step ahead. As a laggard, the Black Sea Corporation could only watch as their market share slipped away. However, the problem now was that if they did not allow topping up the soul coins, the foreign distributors would not be able to make money from Battle Online. Then, they would have to pay a huge amount of agency fees without making any profit, which was a completely loss-making business. On the second day after the evil spirits invasion crisis ended, Lu Wu rejected the offer because a one-time buyout would dissuade some players, which was not in line with his idea. Therefore, Lu Wu began to consider if he should recruit the Rock Ghost King and the other old forces of Baiki and digitize them. This would make up for the shortcomings of the players and make the overall strength of the Baiki army stronger. The reason was simple. The way they wanted to represent Battle Online was not in line with Lu Wu's idea. After some consideration, Lu Wu decided to officially cooperate with Wu Guori because Wu Guori had stated that he would not interfere with any development in the game. At the same time, as an old player, he knew that Lu Wu would never allow topping up the game. After the foreign agency matters were finalized, Lu Wu received a call from the Black Sea Company. They informed Lu Wu that the gaming pods would be officially released in 5 days. Faced with this situation, the Jieda Corporation immediately launched an investigation and tracked down the players who gave the bad reviews. Although their offers were very high, Lu Wu did not even have enough soul coins for himself. How could he let them sell them? He chose to reject the offer without hesitation. However, the Jieda Corporation did not expect that the next day there would be a lot of feedback from the players on their official website that the gaming pods were very lousy and could not run the game. Of course, this was only one of Lu Wu's considerations for future development. After all, he did not have the corresponding strength and power to execute it. After that, they quickly held a meeting and finally asked the technical department to remove the block on Battle Online. It took Lu Wu 2 days to finish reading and signing the contracts that were stacked and stacked. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. However, Lu Wu's work was not done yet. Right after he settled the domestic game platform cooperation matters, he received many calls from foreign game manufacturers, hoping to get the authorization to cooperate with them as soon as possible. For the past few days, Lu Wu had been receiving a bunch of calls from other game platforms, hoping to discuss cooperation. If the gaming pods were not compatible with the game, then these players who wanted to remove the security restrictions could wait until they fixed the bug. As if he knew about Lu Wu's problem, Wu Guori called and told Lu Wu that he wanted to expand the business of Platform 173 overseas. At the same time, he wanted to be the agent of Battle Online. Although the player army was very strong, it was not enough in the face of high-level combat power. Wu Guori's idea was very simple. After the players' feedback, the higher-ups of the Jieda Corporation fell silent. Therefore, they proposed a buyout system. If the game was operated under a buyout system, as long as the game content was attractive, they would still be able to make a profit. At this stage, other than Tong Gua, whose strength was extremely unstable, Lu Wu did not have anyone above the level of Ghost Commander. This was indeed the weakness of the players. As for the other aspects of cooperation that the game platforms proposed, Lu Wu decisively rejected them. He told them to send the contract over and forget about the face-to-face negotiations. After rejecting all the calls from foreign game manufacturers, Lu Wu was faced with a difficult problem. How should he promote the game overseas? Chapter 154. Meanwhile, in the conference room at the headquarters of the Jieda Technology Company, the eyes of the company's higher-ups were focused on the data graph displayed on the screen. Looking at the increasing number of return orders, their faces darkened. The severity of the situation was far beyond their imagination. At this stage, the number of unsubscriptions had reached more than 4 million. According to the collected data, basically all the problems were due to the incompatibility of the game, Battle Online. They did not expect that the sanctions against Battle Online would harm them instead. However, when they realized the problem and took the initiative to unblock it, they found out that the game was not compatible with the gaming chamber this time. The gaming chamber had just been released. If they did not stabilize the market, when the Black Sea Corporation's gaming chamber was officially released, their advantage would be gone. Under such circumstances, the company's technical department worked overnight to find out the reason, but the result was still that the game was not compatible with Battle Online. This made them realize that the problem was not with the gaming chamber, but with Battle Online itself. They immediately contacted Wu Guoi. After all, it was Wu Guoi who facilitated many of their collaborations with large companies. Only he knew the contact details of the person in charge of Battle Online. At the request of the Jieda Technology Company, Wu Guoi immediately called Lu Wu and informed him that the person in charge of the Jieda Technology Company wanted to meet him to discuss the compatibility of the game. However, Lu Wu decisively rejected the request. Although he had always been very easygoing, since the Jieda Technology Company took the initiative to sanction Battle Online, he could not be blamed for retaliating. Moreover, he was just a cat now, so he could forget about the appointment. At this time, the Battle Online forum was filled with complaints from the players. Invincible_loneliness. The promised gaming chamber that can be online for 24 hours is such a lousy thing? I unsubscribed. I was happy for nothing. Crayon_Shinchan. Another epic-making game has been released. Those who have used it say it's great. Everyone, go buy it. Laughing emoji. Watermelon_Taro. I saw everyone buying it, so I reluctantly bought one. However, it's not compatible and I almost smashed it. What use do I have for this thing? Surely_the_strongest. It seems like the number of buyers on this forum is almost 4 million. I've checked the negative reviews on the official website of the Jieda Corporation. Most of them are saying that Battle Online is not compatible. Peppa Boar replied to Surely_the_strongest. We're the ones who need gaming pods the most. Other games don't have security restrictions as horrifying as Battle Online. That's why more than 80% of the players in this forum have ordered it, but the result is really disappointing. Poverty makes me spicy chicken. You won't believe me if I say this, but I prepared several boxes of nutrient solution and planned to hibernate for a few months, but… Flips table emoji. Crayon Shinchan's reply to poverty makes me hot chicken. Hibernation is a good word, funny. Assassin's Creed. I'll sleep for a year if there's a gaming pod that's compatible with Battle Online. Laughing emoji. Crayon Shinchan replied to Assassin's Creed. Unless you don't die for a year, laughing emoji. Under such dire circumstances, the Jieda Corporation repeatedly requested for Wu Gui's help. However, Wu Gui's attitude was firm, and they were given the cold shoulder. In the end, the Jieda Corporation had no choice but to visit Battle Online's official website and send an apology letter to Lu Wu through the official website's suggested mailbox. However, Lu Wu didn't fall for it. Lu Wu knew that if it wasn't for the high user loyalty of Battle Online, the Jieda Corporation's blocking attack would have destroyed the game. Therefore, since the Jieda Technology Company's initial plan was to destroy him, how could a letter of apology solve the problem? Hence, Lu Wu replied to the letter. The content was simple. If the Jieda Corporation was willing to pay 5% of the gaming pod's profits, the research and development of Battle Online might be able to rush through the night to fix the incompatible bug. Lu Wu's condition infuriated the higher-ups of the Jieda Corporation. In the meeting, each and every one of them angrily stated that they would never compromise. However, their crisis wasn't over yet. On the second day after Lu Wu replied to the email, the players in the game received an unexpected surprise. An advertisement for the Black Sea Technology Corporation's gaming pod appeared on the login interface. Apart from introducing the various uses of the gaming pod, the advertisement also contained a piece of information that the players were most concerned about. This gaming pod is perfectly compatible with the Battle Online game. Using this gaming pod to log into the game will remove the 12-hour safe gaming time limit. This piece of news undoubtedly sent the players into a frenzy once again. After seeing the official guarantee that the gaming pod would be perfectly compatible, a large number of orders were sent to the Black Sea Technology Corporation through the in-game link. Within a day, the Black Sea Technology Corporation's order volume had reached more than 4 million. At this moment, even the Black Sea Technology Corporation was dumbfounded. Just when they thought that the battle with the Gieda Corporation would end in failure, there was a shocking reversal. From the back-end data, it could be seen that 99% of these orders came from the link in the game Battle Online. Such a huge surprise caught the higher-ups of the Black Sea Technology Corporation off guard. After the surprise, they hastily began to prepare for a counterattack against the Gieda Corporation. They even took the initiative to contact Lu Wu, hoping to collaborate with him on a gaming pod event. After all, the key to this counterattack was Battle Online, which had provided a large number of orders. This time, they gave Lu Wu 3 options for him to choose from. First, buying a gaming pod would give him a special title in the game. Second, buying a gaming pod would give him a certain amount of soul coins. Third, buying a gaming pod would give him an additional activity mission. Upon completion of the mission, he would receive a hidden profession. At the same time, the Black Sea Technology Corporation guaranteed that all the activity rewards would be paid for by them, in order to expand the influence of the Black Sea Technology Corporation's gaming pod. However, Lu Wu rejected all 3 of the plans that came with a binding game reward when buying a gaming pod. Lu Wu was well aware of the Black Sea Technology Corporation's intentions, but he had always adhered to the principle that external matters should not interfere with the progress of the game. The Black Sea Technology Corporation thought that Lu Wu could easily settle these 3 conditions. In fact, Lu Wu really could not settle them. Other than the first special title that he could casually give out, it was simply unrealistic to use soul coins and hidden profession as a binding reward. If he really used these things as a reward, especially the hidden profession, Lu Wu was 100% sure that all the players would buy it. Even the leaders of many major guilds did not have the opportunity to obtain a hidden profession. Not to mention a gaming pod, even if the price was 10 times or 100 times more, the tycoons in the game would gladly accept it. Moreover, if Lu Wu really wanted to sell it, why would he need to bundle the gaming pod? He might as well just sell the hidden profession. Although Lu Wu could do a relatively simple bundle of special titles, it would also affect his settings in the game. After all, whether it was to increase the experience gained from killing monsters or increase the character's attributes, Lu Wu still had to pay soul coins as the cost. Even if it was to increase the number of free instance dungeons or free teleportation, it was still not a good deal for Lu Wu. At this stage, Lu Wu did not have much need for real currency, as long as he had enough to spend. What he needed and lacked the most were still soul coins. Moreover, according to the contract, as long as the Black Sea Technology Corporation purchased a gaming pod through the game's built-in link, Lu Wu would receive 5% of the profits from each pod. This in itself was a huge sum of money, more than enough for him to spend. The Black Sea Technology Corporation was stunned by Lu Wu's rejection, but they had no choice but to give up. On the other hand, the Gieda Technology Corporation was completely enraged. This was because they realized that a large number of orders from their side had all gone to the Black Sea Technology Corporation. Most importantly, it was because of the game Battle Online. Chapter 155. While the Gieda Technology was struggling, the Black Sea Corporation's gaming pods began to be shipped. The players who got their hands on the gaming pods were undoubtedly excited. Just like what the battle developers had said, the 12-hour safety restriction had been lifted. The forum was full of praise for the gaming cabin produced by the Black Sea. Poverty makes me trash. That's a good review. We can finally hibernate, everyone. See you in spring, waving goodbye. Assassin's Creed. You won't believe me if I tell you. I've hired a maintenance man to come and change my nutrient solution regularly. I'm going to sleep for a year. Crayon Shinchan replied to Assassin's Creed. Farewell. Shueli _the_strongest. I returned the gaming cabin from the Gieda Corporation and bought the one from Black Sea. The official recommendation did not disappoint me. Happy, watermelon_taro. So high I feel like my life has reached its climax. I feel like my life has reached its peak. Kabuta, I've been tempted by you guys. I'm saving money now. I want to buy one too. While the players were pleasantly surprised by the gaming pod's functions, Lu Wu had also started a New Year's event in the game. New Year Event Preview, February 5, 2000, February 10, 2200. Event 1. Limited time auction of New Year's fashion event details. During the event period, 3 sets of fashion will be auctioned every night at 8 p.m. Each set is limited to 1,000 pieces. The maximum bid is 150,000 dragon coins. Each person is limited to 1 set. Activity 2. Collection of fashion pieces event details. During the event period, there is a chance to obtain fashion fragments by killing monsters in the game. The stronger the monster, the higher the chance of obtaining the fragments. Collect 288 fashion fragments, and you can synthesize one of the 3 fashions at the event messenger. Fashion Introduction. All fashion pieces obtained from synthesis and auction are the initial fashion pieces. A certain number of fashion pieces can be used to upgrade the initial fashion pieces to improve the aesthetics of the fashion. Activity 3. Random New Year's Red Envelope Event Details. During the event, there will be a chance for a New Year's red envelope to appear in all areas of Bakey. Once you pick it up and open it, you will receive a random reward of 1 to 1,000 soul coins. Activity 4. Chase Year Away Event Details. During the event period, a level 200 monster, Nien Beast, will spawn in the land of Bakey every hour. After killing it, it will drop blue, red, and purple level 55 equipment, random, soul coins, random, and the title of New Year's Messenger, extremely low chance. Nien, active monster low damage, high HP note. During the Nien event, the rewards given are related to the amount of damage dealt by the player to the Nien, and the rewards will be stored in the player's personal space. Below the 4 activities, there was a display of the 3 sets of costumes that were about to be distributed. These 3 sets of clothes were designed by the all-powerful Bailey. Lu Wu named them Crane Dance and Frost Feather, Dragon Mustering Armor, and Flourishing Fall. Initially, Lu Wu had more than 10 sets of clothing to choose from, but in the end, he only chose these 3 sets. The main reason for this was to suit the background of the game. Because these 3 sets of clothes all had a unique characteristic, and that was that they were full of ancient charm. The gamers were thrilled to see the 3 sets of clothing. Some professional fashion designers even commented on the 3 sets of clothing on the forum. I'm a super professional fashion designer and a soft girl. Even with my picky eyes, I've fallen in love with these 3 sets of clothes. Battle Online has always been able to surprise me. I love it so much, moi, original poster. Silly and ignorant girl. Next, let me review these 3 sets of clothing and give some advice to the players who want to buy them but don't know how to choose. First, I'll review the first set of the 3 sets of clothing, Crane Dance and Frost Feather. Fashion Review. This set of clothing has an exterior design that is closely related to the theme. The overall simple yet elegant white color seems to emit the frosty coldness of flying snow. The ink halo on the edge of the cuffs shows ingenuity. Together with the delicate blush on the ends of the hair, the image of the red-crowned crane is vividly portrayed like a Chinese freehand painting. I have to say that the art designers of Battle Online are definitely the best in the world. Author's suggestion: buy. What? You don't have money? You can sell your house, car, or body if you don't have money. You should spend money to buy clothes during the new year. Next, I'll review the second set of clothing, the very domineering dragon mustering armor. Fashion Review. This set of clothing is full of the style of a general. The horned dragon on the helmet looked like it was about to swallow the mountains and rivers. The red tassels flowed down like a mane. The shoulders, chest, and waist were decorated with ferocious beast heads. The metal kneecaps and the fish scale armor on both sides of the helmet highlighted the toughness of the armor. The cloak on the back fully concealed the iron-blooded bronze body. Even the weak-looking player would instantly become tall and sturdy after putting it on. The low-hanging tassels seemed to add a touch of gentleness to the roughness of the outfit. Author's suggestion: although this set of clothing is available for men and women, it is more suitable for male players who play battle crazily. Moreover, tall players will look especially domineering after putting it on. Then, the last set of clothing, Extravagance Falls, is smooth. I really like this set of clothing. Fashion review. The main colors of this set of clothing are lavender, and ivory white. It looks elegant and chic. The long sleeves and waist-wrapping structure design are even more classic. The details were even more remarkable. The butterfly ornament on the waist and the butterfly pattern on the shoulder hem complemented each other. The soft lines of the round toe boots and so on made this fashion look exactly like a cup of good tea, gentle and elegant, washed away all the impurities. Author's comment: ding, the house has been sold, the car has been sold, and the boyfriend has been sold. Tonight at 8 o'clock, the fashion auction will be held. Fight to the death, draw your sword. After reviewing the 3 sets of fashion, the original poster couldn't wait any longer. In short, he loved all of them. Also, don't be discouraged if you can't buy it. You can also collect fashion fragments to make new clothes. As long as you collect all the fragments by the specified date, you can also have a super cool fashion. Moreover, even such a dazzling fashion was only in its basic form. Collecting fashion shards would allow the fashion to be upgraded. The original poster fell into a deep desire, unable to extricate himself. So, assemble the Bakey army. For the sake of fashion, let's go hunt wild monsters. Finally, I wish all Battle Online players a happy new year. Also, I hope that when the fashion auction starts, all the power and internet will be cut off and the gaming pods will explode. That way no one will be able to compete with me. Gentle smiling face. Author. Cute and ignorant girl replies, Invincible_loneliness, what the f***ck. Other than being a little black-bellied, the OP is indeed a professional. After your recommendation, I, who have no interest in fashion, want to buy a set of dragon armor on the spot. As for the money, sinister smile, I'm lonely. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Invincible_loneliness. I'm counting on you for tonight's fashion. Be gentle, laughing emoji. Invincible_loneliness replied to Crayon_Shinchan. I've tolerated you for a long time. Tell me your game ID if you're so capable. I'll teach you a lesson. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Invincible_loneliness. Look for it yourself. If you find it, I'll let you a laughing emoji. Watermelon_Taro. The poorest member of this forum shrank into a corner again and began to cry silently. The lack of money has twisted my jealous heart. I need money, crying emoji. Shueli_the_strongest. It's another war between the rich. Shueli_the_strongest silently glanced at her poor boyfriend and realized that the only way for her was to carry bricks and synthesize them. Crying emoji. Damn the original poster. After your recommendation, I really want to buy Prosperous Fall. I hate you so much, gritting teeth. Peppa_Boar. I'm smiling without saying a word. I'm ready to buy a set on the spot. At the same time, I'm saying that anything that can be settled with money is not a problem. If you're so capable, sell me a hidden character class. I'll buy one no matter how much it costs. A_large_wolf dog. Dumbfounded emoji. Invincible_loneliness replied to A_large_wolf dog. Dog, hold it in and don't cry. This event seems to have nothing to do with you. A_large_wolf dog replied to Invincible_loneliness. Flips table, don't stop me. I've given up on myself. I want to destroy the world. Crayon_Shinchan replied to A_large_wolfdog. I'm laughing so hard. Ha 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 ha. I'm laughing and patting the dog's head. Don't cry. A_large_wolfdog replied to Crayon_Shinchan. Leave your game ID if you dare. Sent from the evil black dog. JPG. Before the event officially started, the players were already discussing the fashion enthusiastically in the forum. Chapter 156. After all, the dragon coins were only useful during the fashion event. They were useless at other times. Instantly, the irritable players flooded the forum to find out what was going on. When a colorful light flashed in the dark shop, all the players clicked on the fashion section like crazy. Wordless heart, it's the new year. Did you train your hand speed by snatching red packets? This is too much. I can't buy anything now. Let's get ready to carry bricks in the wild. Fortunately, I left a zombie energy pillar. I'm going to use my life to make a set of fashion in the next few days. Never come back. I'm passing by in silence after snatching it. I'll show it off and watch your jealous faces. Screenshot of the fashion section. As soon as this function was activated, the players flooded in with top-up orders. It was a no-cost transaction. In less than a moment, the boneyard was densely packed with human figures everywhere. Within an hour, the top-up amount of dragon coins had reached a terrifying 3 billion. At this stage, the number of players was close to 6 million. This meant that the top-up amount had not reached its peak yet. The top-up orders were still flooding in and the top-up amount was still increasing. On this day, the fourth disaster army once again walked out of the safe zone of the Mansion of the Dead, ready to wreak havoc on Bakey. All the players' eyes were focused on the fashion section, in the special section of the shop, waiting for the official start of the auction. At this moment, the game notification appeared again. However, at 7:58, the forum suddenly fell silent. Lu Wu was speechless. Just as Wang Damong thought, the Nian that Lu Wu had set up was a New Year's benefit for the players. When he saw the other players swarming towards the Nian, he immediately got up and charged forward. He knew that the Nian's attacks were incredibly weak, so he did not need to be afraid at all. Luan Xiao, I'm beating my chest. I missed the chance to show off. I also spent 150,000, but I was too slow. Don't push me. Look at the coordinates on the map. Everyone, get out of my way. However, before they clicked on it, they suddenly realized that the fashion shop had turned dark again. When it was almost 8 o'clock at night, Lu Wu opened the channel to exchange real currency for dragon coins in the fashion shop. However, at this stage, Lu Wu's plan was to set up the collection of fashion fragments and limited edition fashion auctions for every event and festival. He would also set up the opening day of the fashion event every Wednesday, making it a regular event. Adorably ignorant girl. Fortunately, I realized this problem and decisively threw away the 150,000 maximum price when I went in. I almost missed out on my favorite, the end of prosperity. How wonderful! For the first time, Lu Wu felt that earning money was a piece of cake. Millions of players surged into the boneyard like a swarm of locusts and rushed toward the place where the Nians spawned. In order to appease the players who would return their dragon coins if the auction failed, Lu Wu released a notice to ensure that the dragon coins could be exchanged for real currency. Crayon_Shinchan. Let's go, let's go. Luckily I bought a gaming cabin. I won't go offline for the next few days. I'm getting ready to kill monsters and farm costume fragment. Don't die so easily this time. At the very least, wait for me to touch you and calculate my damage. Get out of my way. However, since the players trusted Battle Online so much, Lu Wu would not let them suffer any losses. After the Nian died, the players' rewards were calculated based on the percentage of the Nian's HP that they dealt to the Nian's total HP. Server announcement: the 3 sets of costumes for this event have been sold out. The highest bid is 150,000 dragon coins and the lowest is 150,000 dragon coins. A total of 3,000 sets have been sold. The limited edition auction has ended. Then, a game notification appeared. Where's Nian? Where's Nian? Let me touch it. After landing on the ground, Wang Damong was shocked to find that his HP had dropped by less than one-third. In other words, this seemingly ferocious attack did not cause much damage at all. At the same time, in the southern region of the boneyard, a huge fiery red monster that looked like a qilin was pacing back and forth. The terrifying amount of top-up points made Lu Wu speechless. The army of players coming from the north had alerted the Nian. It immediately let out a furious roar and pounced toward the players. Lu Wu did not need to spend any soul coins to create game items such as costumes. All he needed to do was to use the artifact to condense a costume fragment for the players to collect when they killed the monsters. However, the Nian was already close to him. It crashed into him and sent him flying. Seeing the 3 sets of costumes, the players were excited. They began to choose the costumes that they wanted to buy and were ready to bid for them. Server announcement: the Nian has respawned. The coordinates are the boneyard XXX. XXX. Not only was Lu Wu shocked, but the players were also dumbfounded. The appearance of the notification caused a stir among the players. The crowd immediately rushed to the teleportation point of the Mansion of the Dead. Wang Damong, who was running at the front, suddenly had a change of expression. He suddenly felt that he had run too fast. He was afraid that he would become a cannon fodder. Shueli_the_strongest. I tried to place 10,000 dragon coins just now, but before I could press the bid button, the fashion mall was closed and I went into seclusion. The event ended 5 seconds after it started. Many players were in tears when they found out the reason. The enthusiastic players in the forum were asking each other about their well-being. They asked if the gaming pods had exploded and if they could not log into the game. Nian's attack power was very weak, so it could not kill the players instantly. However, its HP had reached 100 million. Invincible_loneliness. What the F***ck. Fortunately, the fashion mall put a cap of 150,000 dragon coins on it. It was so exciting that it was sold out in seconds. At 7:50 a.m., when the event was about to start, if this continued, he believed that when the fashion mall officially opened, it would not be a problem for the top-up value to exceed 10 billion. Watermelon_taro. The war between the tycoons is so scary. Where did you guys get your money? I want to be as rich as you guys and spend as much money as I want. Jealous. The players? And I_the_husband replied to ignorant_girl. I don't think it's your recommendation. It will definitely sell for a few more seconds. I should be able to get a set. Dripping blood_knife. Peppa_boar. I'm F***king drunk. I want to ask if the 3,000 sets were sold for 10 seconds. No, 5 seconds. My internet speed is fast enough, right? Are you guys using cheats to buy them? However, the truth could not be changed. They knew that they had to work hard to get their hands on the costumes. Hence, they started to walk out of the mansion of the dead one after another. With bloodshot eyes, they started to look for wild monsters that they could kill. If Lu Wu did not have the special server of the battle artifact, he believed that his original game server would have crashed. Meanwhile, Lu Wu was also observing the players' actions. He wanted to see if there would be any surprises in this normalized event. To them, it seemed like the fashion mall was open for a while and then closed. Autumn_leaf_luoyang. This is so exciting. I managed to get a set of falling prosperity. Fortunately, I had the foresight and it was sold out in 5 seconds. It's so scary. Battle Angel. I'm crying. I went in and placed 100,000 dragon coins to bid for the dancing crane frost scale. I thought it would last for a while, and I would increase the price later. In the end, it was sold out in less than 5 seconds. When I realized it, it was already too late. I regretted not placing more. Please do it again. Such a huge top-up value made Lu Wu realize the meaning of huge profit. Chapter 157. The Nian that spawned in the boneyard had extremely high defense and HP. However, when faced with millions of players swarming towards them, they couldn't last more than 10 minutes before collapsing. Immediately, a game notification appeared in the minds of the surrounding players. The players were either rewarded with soul coins or weapons and equipment. However, none of the players were rewarded with special titles, which made them feel a little regretful. However, the event had just begun, and they knew that they still had a chance. Lu Wu smiled cheerfully when he saw the smiles on the players' faces. In order to celebrate the first new year in the game, he had put in a lot of effort. Even the cold and gloomy mansion of the dead was decorated with festive lanterns and couplets. The entire mansion of the dead was decorated with festive lanterns, making it look festive even in the game. However, due to the start of the New Year's event, almost all the players had left Underworld to work hard for the event rewards. Underworld, on the other hand, was quite empty. That night the players became very busy. Not only did they have to look for New Year's red envelopes, but they also had to kill wild monsters to collect costume fragments. There was also the Nian that spawned randomly every hour. The whole of Beiki was filled with players scurrying around. The movement of the players naturally attracted the attention of many forces in Beiki. However, they were already used to the strange behavior of this new force. They were already used to it. In any case, it would be fine as long as they didn't provoke them. East of Beiki, Ascension Zone. The nine-headed python king lowered its head and gnawed on a tusked boar, but it suddenly raised its head halfway through its meal. A short distance away, a dense swarm of players was madly surging towards this location. Although the nine-headed python king was not afraid of this new force of Beiki, he still did not want to provoke them, because the players had done two things that made him very fearful. The first was that they had killed Cha Na. Although Cha Na was a ghost general, he was still an existence that was about to break through the Ghost King realm. His strength should not be underestimated. Being able to kill Cha Na meant that the overall strength of this new force of Beiki was close to the Ghost King realm. The second was that the players had stopped the evil invasion. Although they had the help of the Rock Ghost King, the fact that the players were able to negotiate with the Rock Ghost King in the end seemed a little unbelievable to him. After all, he was familiar with the Rock Ghost King's character. Since he was able to talk to him, it was obvious that he had caught the Rock Ghost King's attention, and the basis of his attention was his own strength. Even though the nine-headed Python King was confident that he could also achieve these two things, he was still a Ghost King-level existence, and even though the nine-headed Python King didn't know the specific power of the players, he knew that they were Ghost King-level existences in his heart. Therefore, the Hydra King had always adopted an attitude of not taking the initiative to provoke this new force of Beiki. But this time, a large-scale invasion occurred, and the nine-headed Python King realized that a war would break out soon. This was why it raised its head and revealed an ominous glint in its eyes. After occupying the Ascension Zone for so many years, it was impossible for him to give up this territory. Since the players dared to invade, he could only fight. After the players stepped into the Ascension Zone, the nine-headed Python King faced the sky and roared. Its body floated into the air, and was about to rush toward the players. But what happened next stunned him. The millions of players completely ignored him. Instead, they surrounded an empty space and began to unleash all sorts of skills. It seemed like the battle was still very intense. This made the nine-headed Python King dumbfounded. He immediately focused his gaze and carefully scanned the area that the players were attacking. He wanted to find the target that they were attacking, but no matter how hard he looked, he couldn't find any other creatures in this area. But the players' performance was too realistic. It was as if they were really fighting. The nine-headed Python King couldn't help but rub his eyes as he fell into a state of confusion. Lu Wu naturally noticed this scene and couldn't help but laugh out loud. This Nian was formed by an artifact and wasn't a real object. It was equivalent to an illusion. Moreover, it was an illusion that only the players could see. It was obvious that the nine-headed Python King had misunderstood something. After knowing that the player's target wasn't him, the nine-headed Python King stopped in the air and didn't attack the players. He just stared blankly as he tried to figure out what the players were doing. As time passed, the nine-headed Python King wasn't sure if he was blind or if the players below were blind. With his Ghost King-level strength, even though he was in the air, he could clearly see the worms crawling on the ground. Moreover, he had 9 heads. Even if one of his eyes was blind, he couldn't possibly be blind with the remaining 16 eyes. However, there were millions of players below and there were almost 10 million eyes. If he were to compare them with his eyes, the nine-headed Python King felt that he was more likely to be blind. After watching for about 10 minutes, the players who were attacking crazily suddenly stopped at the same time. Then, they all revealed smiles and laughed out loud. Then, the army of players scattered in all directions like a tide. The nine-headed Python King was dumbfounded. Looking at the ground that was plowed by the players' spells, the nine-headed Python King couldn't help but fly over curiously. After carefully inspecting the area, he even flipped over the ground. However, apart from a few wriggling worms, he didn't even find a single creature's corpse. This made him even more confused. The nine-headed Python King couldn't figure it out. He looked at the half-eaten tusked boar in the distance and instantly lost his appetite. The feeling of being unable to satisfy his curiosity was terrible. At the mansion of the dead in Baiki, 2 figures came online in the empty safe zone. Then, another figure appeared in the resurrection point. Seeing Murphy and little Pomelo in front of him, who he clenched his teeth and couldn't help but stomp his feet. "Are you guys done? It's the new year. Can't you guys play games happily? I'm hosting an event and you guys killed them. Do you guys have a grudge against me?" Murphy and little Pomelo didn't say a word. They just stared at who was dancing in the resurrection point. "Fine, if you guys are so capable, wait until I've refined Hidorigami. Then, I'll teach you a lesson." Facing the persistent couple assassins, who he felt like he was about to be killed to the point of becoming autistic. Initially, he thought that it would be a good opportunity for him to escape when all the players left the mansion of the dead. However, he never expected that. "Are you guys really not going to let me go?" he asked again. Murphy and little Pomelo still didn't say a word. They just stared at him. "Let's wait and see," he said as he stomped his feet and chose to go offline. After he left, Murphy sighed and said, "Let's go and do our mission. Let's go do some quests as well. I don't think he'll come online." Okay. Just as the two of them were about to leave the safe zone, the skill instructor walked past them with a Wood Spirit Clan's spirit wine in his hand. "Instructor, wait!" Murphy suddenly called out to the skill instructor. The skill instructor immediately turned his head in confusion. "Instructor, we want to learn the Prajna scarification." The skill instructor was speechless. "Instructor, I'm sure you know how to do it. We really want to learn the Prajna scarification. We've been wanting to ask you alone for a long time." Facing the two sincere faces, the skill instructor smiled awkwardly. "I really don't know how to do it." "No, you have so many skills, how can you not know the Prajna scarification? You definitely need to complete a hidden mission to trigger the lesson. So, please assign the mission. No matter how difficult the mission is, we'll try our best to complete it." Murphy and little Pomelo looked sincere, looking like they were humbly asking for advice. The skill instructor was crying in his heart. To be honest, he wanted to learn it too, but he really didn't know how to do it. Chapter 158. During the New Year's event, millions of players followed the event prompts everywhere. As a result, a strange phenomenon appeared in the land of Baiki. Every hour, millions of players would suddenly swarm into a certain area and cast all kinds of skills at the air. Other than the Rock Ghost King, who had the most contact with the players and was relatively calm, the other forces of Baki were dumbfounded. Especially the Hydra King in the Ascension Zone. In one night, the players swarmed and attacked the air crazily 3 times. That night, the Hydra King felt like it was going crazy because of the players. It even wanted to initiate a war and destroy all these creatures. In the skill guidance room in the safe zone of the Mansion of the Dead. Mentor, I think we can really try to learn it. The skill mentor Chu Feng took a sip of wood spirit wine. He was speechless as he looked at Murphy and little Pomelo in front of him. All he felt was weariness. Why didn't they believe that he didn't know it? You really want to learn it? Yes. The two of them were pleasantly surprised as they thought that the skill mentor was going to teach them. Let me tell you a secret. I heard that Tong Gua in the forging room across the street had encountered the cursed clan who could perform the Prajna scarification. I think he definitely knows how to learn it. Maybe you can ask him. By the way, don't tell him that I said it. Murphy and little Pomelo's expression froze when they heard that. They nodded heavily and turned to walk across the street. This caused Chu Feng to let out a long sigh of relief. He felt that the danger had been averted, and he once again lifted the wine pot in satisfaction. However, just as he poured the wine into his mouth, before he could swallow it, he spat it all out with a pu. This was because he discovered that the 2 stubborn people had appeared at the door again, and they were staring at him. What's wrong now? Chu Feng wiped his clothes and asked helplessly. Mentor, you forgot to assign a mission. We didn't receive a game notification saying that a hidden mission has been activated. Chu Feng was speechless. This isn't a mission, it's guidance. The hidden mission should be with Master Tong Gua. You should go now. Oh, Mentor, enjoy your drink. We'll buy a box of wood spirit wine for you after we've mastered it. Chu Feng quickly nodded. Following Chu Feng's direction, the two of them soon appeared outside Tong Gua's forging room. However, the two of them didn't enter because there was a sign hanging on the door. I'm sleeping. When I open for business depends on my mood. I'll break the legs of whoever knocks on the door. Both of them looked at each other, then little Pomelo whispered, Murphy, what should we do? Since Master Tong Gua said that we can't knock on the door, why don't we just not knock on the door? Murphy pointed at the half-open window beside the door. Little Pomelo was taken aback. She nodded her head, and the two of them began to climb into the house through the window. The forging room didn't look big, but it was extremely spacious inside. Apart from a huge furnace in the middle, the room was a mess with wine bottles everywhere. At this moment, Tong Gua was lying on the bed with his limbs spread out. His snores were thunderous, and his body reeked of alcohol. Master Tong Gua! Master Tong Gua! The two of them came to the bedside and began to shake Tong Gua, who was sleeping soundly. However, Tong Gua did not seem to feel it. He was still in a deep sleep and showed no signs of waking up. What should we do? Master Tong Gua seems to be drunk. Little Pomelo spread her hands helplessly. Let me think. Murphy's eyes wandered around Tong Gua's body and finally focused on a small earthworm. That's not very good. Little Pomelo seemed to understand Murphy's thoughts, and she could not bear to do it. Murphy did not answer. He just chuckled and pinched Tong Gua's little earthworm hard. Ugh! Tong Gua straightened his body and widened his eyes as he looked at the two of them standing by the bed in disbelief. Greetings, Master Tong Gua. The two of them quickly bowed. You. Damn. It hurts. Master Tong Gua, we're here to seek advice. Hiss, advice my ass. What the *CK did you do to me? Tong Gua's face was red as he held his crotch and inhaled cold air. Master, do you know how to learn the Prajna scarification? The two of them bowed again and asked. Tong Gua wanted to cry but had no tears as he felt the stinging pain in his crotch. He almost slept his little one away. It was too scary. Was he crippled? Tonghua had a terrible guess. Tonghua bent over and supported himself on the edge of the bed as he staggered down. He ignored the two of them and turned to walk into the cubicle in the room. Then, he slammed the door shut. As the two of them waited, Tonghua, who had changed into a red coat, walked out of the cubicle with a lifeless look. Master Tonghua. The two of them quickly bowed again when they saw him. Did I offend you in some way? Tonghua asked in despair. Offend? Master Tonghua, I think you've misunderstood. We're here to seek advice. Tonghua did not believe them at all. He trembled as he walked to the bed and sat down. He looked at the two of them. Tell me how you came in first. Murphy and little Pomelo pointed at the window at the same time. Tonghua glanced at them and felt a headache. He then said, What's your purpose? At this time, Tonghua's idea was to stall for time and see if he could achieve a powerful cultivation base. Then, he could take revenge. However, at this stage, his cultivation base was 0. His strength did not allow him to show off, so he could only be polite. Master Tonghua, do you know how to learn prajna scarification? Prajna scarification? Tonghua was stunned. How could he not be familiar with this name? This ability was the most powerful ability of the Cursed Clan. He still remembered the battle that wiped out the Cursed Clan. Fortunately, the clan leader of the Cursed Clan chose to use sun chasing to perform prajna scarification. If he was the one who was chosen, he felt that he would be half crippled even if he did not die. Why do you ask? Tonghua was curious. We've changed our class to Cursed Apostles. We want to learn the strongest ability of Cursed Apostles, prajna scarification, and become the strongest assassins. Cursed Apostles? Tonghua suddenly remembered that these players seemed to have the ability to change their class to the Cursed Clan. At this moment, Tonghua suddenly believed that these two players were not here for revenge. However, this method of asking for advice made him particularly unhappy. Although he knew some secrets of the Cursed Clan, he did not want to teach them at all. Forget it. You guys have mediocre qualifications. You won't be able to learn it, Tonghua said after thinking for a while. Master Tonghua, please teach us prajna scarification. If we can't learn it, we won't be satisfied. So what if I'm not satisfied? Tonghua suddenly became arrogant again. He put his left leg on the bed, looking as if he was saying, What can you do to me? We will move you with our sincerity and come to you often to ask for advice. Tonghua's eyes widened when he heard this. He suddenly felt that these two guys, who looked very serious, could be so shameless. Wasn't this clearly showing that he wanted to give him another fatal chicken shot? The two's hidden threat was indeed effective. Tonghua suddenly felt a little weak. His original plan was to wait until he became strong enough to take revenge. However, the two people in front of him were players. They were immortal existences. Even if he could really take revenge, if they held a grudge against him and attacked him a few more times, his D*CK would really be crippled. Tonghua, who was feeling aggrieved, finally raised his head. I can teach you, but I have a condition. Master Tonghua, please tell us. We will definitely do it. The two's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 159. But I can't guarantee that you'll be able to learn it. Tonghua added after the two agreed. Moz and little Pomelo nodded immediately. All right, Master Tonghua. Let me tell you about the origin of the Cursed Clan first. The Cursed Clan wasn't originally part of the original race in the land of Baki. They migrated here from Hell. It seems that they chose the wrong side during the battle for His Excellency. After the new His Excellency was born, they migrated to Baki to avoid being exterminated. At that time, the situation in Baki was very unstable. There were also two major forces competing for the throne of His Excellency. Speaking of which, this clan is quite miserable. In order to gain a foothold in Baki, they chose to rely on one of the two forces after evaluating their strength. However, they chose the wrong team. The force they relied on was defeated in the end, and almost all of them were wiped out. By the way, the leader of the other force was Liu Yan, the current king of Beiki who had just passed away. Tong Gua sighed in his heart when he thought of the king of Beiki who treated him well. Was the cursed clan annihilated too? The two of them asked curiously. Logically speaking, they should have been wiped out, but that's not necessarily the case. It's said that there were a few people who luckily survived and escaped to the Arctic abyss together with the defeated forces. Of course, I'm not sure if it's true or not, because I was cultivating a divine technique during that period of time and went into seclusion for a long time. The Arctic abyss. The two of them immediately opened the map and pulled it to the south. However, since they had never been there before, the map only showed the river under the burial ground. The area below was covered by the map's fog. So, if you really want to learn the abilities of the cursed clan, you have to ask them. If there are any survivors, they must have escaped to the Arctic abyss. Otherwise, they won't be able to stay in other areas of Beiki. However, I have to remind you that the Arctic abyss is considered a forbidden place in Beiki. This place is very strange. It's located on top of a geothermal volcano, but the glaciers haven't melted for hundreds of thousands of years. Instead, it's covered in snow all year round. Moreover, it's said that the birth of the Arctic abyss is related to the Ice Snow Clan, a force under the first king of Beiki. In short, it's not a good place. Besides, even if those defeated forces really hide in the Arctic abyss, there's a high chance that they'll be destroyed by the Ice Snow Clan. So, you guys should think about it carefully. Since you guys are immortal anyway, it's okay to go and have some fun. However, if you meet the Ice Snow Clan, don't provoke them. If their leader is still alive, he might have reached the Ghost Emperor realm. If he's really angry, he might overturn the whole of Beiki. I've told you everything I know. Do you have any thoughts? Tong Gua looked at the two of them and asked. Let's go. Tong Gua waved his hand when he saw their stubborn attitude. He seemed to be afraid that they would trouble him again if they could not find the cursed clan. If you really can't find it, don't be discouraged. Once you're strong enough, you can head to the Hell region to take a look. There are many races there that possess the power of the Hell Tao. Both of them nodded again. After bowing respectfully to Tong Gua, they turned to the door and climbed out through the window. Tong Gua was speechless. That's not right. How did they know that I know the origin of the cursed clan? Tong Gua covered his crotch and felt that something was not right. In the outside world, the players' activities were still going on. At this time, millions of players suddenly landed on the outskirts of the North Rocks through teleportation. They then advanced toward the interior of the North Rock. Faced with the crazy influx of players, the Rock Ghost King's heart skipped a beat. He quickly stopped his subordinates, who were ready to launch an attack. Calm down. Let them be crazy for a while. They'll leave soon. Just as the Rock Ghost King had said, the players surrounded an area in a frenzy for a while before they began to retreat while giggling. Lord Rock Ghost King, what kind of race are these new forces? Why haven't we seen them before? The Iron Zombie commander below could not help but ask curiously. A trace of doubt flashed in the Rock Ghost King's eyes. He then turned to look at the soul-liberating envoy Du Yen. You're the first to come into contact with them. Do you know their origin? Upon hearing this, Du Yen respectfully said to the Rock Ghost King, Lord Rock Ghost King, this force appeared in the Mansion of the Dead inexplicably after the death of the King of Beiki. I don't know their origin. Upon hearing Du Yan's words, the Rock Ghost King became even more confused. How could the Ghost Kings not know that such a huge force had arrived in Beiki in advance? The land of Beiki could only be entered through 4 areas. His own North Rocks, the Liuli in the east, the barren grassland in the west, and the Arctic abyss in the south. First of all, the Arctic abyss could definitely be excluded. After all, no one could pass through that area. How could his own North Rocks not notice the invasion of such a huge number of creatures? Naturally, he had to exclude them as well. The Lioli in the east was where Cha Na was stationed. If they really came from the East Sea, Cha Na would be their first opponent. How could they first occupy the mansion of the dead and then destroy Cha Na? If that was the case, this force was most likely coming from the side of the barren grassland. However, the Rock Ghost King still felt that something was amiss. This was because he had several encounters with these creatures and found that the abilities they mastered were obviously from Baki. The Rune Warriors, the Sun-Chasing Archers, the Naraka realm of the Cursed Clan, and so on were all abilities mastered by the forces that once existed in Baki. It would be too much of a coincidence if these creatures came from the outside world. As he pondered, the Rock Ghost King's expression suddenly changed. Du Yen, do you remember that the king of Baki once said that he would one day rule over the entire underworld? Upon hearing this, Du Yen cupped his hands. Lord Rock Ghost King, I did hear that from the king of Baki. Then do you remember that the king of Baki used to consecrate the souls of all the soldiers above the ghost general level, and the souls of the enemy generals that we killed in the Valiant Spirit Palace? I do. The king of Baki said that it was to let the future generations remember these former powerhouses. At this moment, the Rock Ghost King's expression became extremely solemn, because he remembered something very important. It seemed that the abilities mastered by the players were related to the soldiers who had died and were consecrated in the Valiant Spirit Palace. As he thought about this, the Rock Ghost King suddenly had a guess. It was highly likely that this new force of Baki was related to the deceased king of Baki. Perhaps it was a secret force that the king of Baki had secretly created to realize his ambition to rule over the underworld. Thinking of this, the Rock Ghost King suddenly had a thought. That was, if this force was really the king of Baki's secret weapon, could he control it or had a way to control it? Because he did not believe that the king of Baki would create a force that he could not control, there must be a way to ensure that the secret weapon would not betray him. Chapter 160. Baki, Mansion of the Dead. With all the players out, the entire safe zone of the Mansion of the Dead was empty. Although the city was decorated in a fiery red color, it still looked a little deserted, with only the occasional NPC walking on the street. At this time, in the safe zone of the Mansion of the Dead, a small sapling suddenly emerged from the ground. It carefully scanned its surroundings. After making sure that it was not discovered, 2 roots were pulled out from the ground and moved forward little by little like human feet. Looking at the familiar streets of the Mansion of the Dead, the Rock Ghost King was shocked. The Mansion of the Dead was so thoroughly destroyed before, but now most of the buildings had been restored to their original state, and there were many new buildings. Most importantly, these rebuilt buildings were almost exactly the same as before they were destroyed. With surprise in his heart, he walked forward step by step. The purpose of his visit was to investigate the appearance of these new forces in Baki and what secrets they had. If these creatures were really the secret force of the deceased king of Baki, the Rock Ghost King felt that he might be able to find the method left by the king of Baki to control this force. The first place he chose to investigate this time was naturally the most important palace in Baki. After all, if there was a way to control the secret force, the king of Baki would most likely place it in this palace. After crossing a few streets, the Rock Ghost King suddenly stopped. This was because he found a strange construction. The roof of this building was a slanted hammer, but it was the plaque of this building that caught his attention. Tonggua's Forging Workshop. Seeing the name of this building, the Rock Ghost King was stunned. Of course, he knew about Tonggua's forging ability. It could be said that he was the #1 hidden forging master in Baki. However, after thinking about it, the Rock Ghost King immediately shook his head. How could it be? Even if the king of Baki wanted Tonggua to help him forge weapons, he would have to spend a lot of effort. With Tonggua's character, it was impossible for him to open a forging workshop here. Perhaps he worshipped Tonggua the Ghost King and named the forging room after him. Having figured it out, the Rock Ghost King immediately took a step forward and was ready to continue in the direction of the palace. However, at this time, the Rock Ghost King suddenly felt a breath approaching. He immediately inserted his roots into the ground and pretended to be a small sapling that had just emerged from the ground, swaying foolishly with the wind. F***K, what bad luck. Don't tell me these players are cheating? How can this king's luck be so bad? I've lost so badly that I'm almost losing my underwear. Not far away, Tong Gua was walking with his legs splayed, swaying with a pot of wood spirit wine in his hand. He scolded. Tong Gua was in a bad mood when he thought of the soul coins he had lost while playing cards with the players. He could not help but fling the red coat on his shoulder to the ground. He then jumped up and stomped on it twice. After seeing who it was, the Rock Ghost King could not help but feel a drop of sweat on his forehead. Stone. Rock Ghost King immediately. After venting for a while, Tong Gua picked up the red coat from the ground again, held it in his hand, and staggered to the door of the casting room. He kicked the door open and walked in. Seeing this scene, the Rock Ghost King heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, his heart was filled with horror and doubts. Who was Tong Gua? He was the most powerful Ghost King in the land of Baiki. His status in Baiki was much higher than his. He was an existence that he did not dare to provoke. He had several encounters with Tong Gua. Once, he was beaten up by Tong Gua, who was in a bad mood. The Rock Ghost King still clearly remembered how terrifying Tong Gua's strength was. Although Tong Gua had disappeared for a period of time, the king of Baiki once mentioned that Tong Gua seemed to be in seclusion during that period. The king of Baiki also said that Tong Gua was not far from the realm of Half-Step Ghost Emperor. Therefore, when he saw Tong Gua here, the Rock Ghost King was filled with fear. He was afraid that he would be discovered and killed. At this time, the Rock Ghost King was somewhat sure of his guess. This new force of Baiki might really be related to the dead king of Baiki. Tong Gua's so-called seclusion for a few months was to help the king of Baiki build this secret force. Otherwise, with the strength of this new force of Baiki, how could they hire Tong Gua as a blacksmith? Tong Gua must have volunteered. Thinking of this, the Rock Ghost King was a little scared. He was afraid that he would be killed because he knew too much. It was even possible that the dead king was still alive. After seeing Tong Gua this time, he suddenly felt how naive his previous thoughts were. At the same time, he was glad that he was not impulsive. After all, if he had really led the Tree Demon army to attack, Tong Gua alone could have wiped them out. At this time, Tong Gua's figure suddenly appeared at the door again. The Rock Ghost King immediately stopped thinking and began to act like a sapling. At the same time, he kept chanting in his heart, "I'm just a sapling, you can't find me, I'm just a sapling." Under the Rock Ghost King's horrified gaze, Tong Gua walked toward him step by step. Since when is there a sapling at the door? Tong Gua looked at the sapling with drunken eyes, looking a little confused. Then, Tong Gua reached out and patted the Rock Ghost King, who was in the form of a sapling. There was a trace of satisfaction in his eyes. "Not bad. Not bad. You look good." The Rock Ghost King felt that his heart was about to explode. He was afraid that Tong Gua had already noticed some clues and suddenly gave him a destructive blow. At this time, the Rock Ghost King did not know that Tong Gua had already lost his cultivation. His heart was full of anxiety. After all, in his opinion, with Tong Gua's strength at the peak of the Ghost King, it was not difficult to find out his true identity. However, Tong Gua just stared at the Rock Ghost King in a daze. The Rock Ghost King felt that he was about to have a heart attack. This was too exciting. "It's a good tree." Tong Gua praised it drunkenly. However, the next scene made the Rock Ghost King dumbfounded. He saw Tong Gua suddenly take out his chick and began to pee on him. F***ck, I can't take it anymore. Feeling the waves of warmth washing over his body, the Rock Ghost King felt that he was going crazy. If it were not for his rational desire to survive restraining him, He was afraid that he could not help but slap Tong Gua. In order to live. In order to live. The Rock Ghost King kept comforting himself in his heart, but his heart was on the verge of breaking down. Phew, at this time, Tong Gua shook his body with a hint of satisfaction on his face. After pulling up his pants, Tong Gua glanced at the sapling again and could not help but praise it again. Good tree. Then, he turned around and entered the house, closing the door with a bang. Not far away, the little snake, who was hiding in the gap of the slate and observing this scene, gradually became dull. Chapter 161. Looking at the sapling not far away, the Hydra King's heart skipped a beat. He felt like he was in shock. Due to his unsatisfied curiosity, he transformed into a small snake and sneaked into the mansion of the dead. However, as soon as he entered the mansion of the dead, he was shocked to find that the mansion of the dead had been restored to its original state. To satisfy his curiosity, he went deeper and found the sapling rooted in front of Tong Gua's forge. How could he not recognize this sapling? It was obviously the Rock Ghost King. However, as the Ghost King of a region, he was actually drenched in urine. What was even more unbelievable was that the one who dared to piss on the overlord of the North Rocks was Bakie's strongest Ghost King, Tong Gua. Tong Gua? The Rock Ghost King? A new force? The Hydra King felt like he was being hidden from something. Why did Tong Gua and the Rock Ghost King appear in the mansion of the dead? Was there a secret between them and this new force? Moreover, judging from Tong Gua's behavior, he seemed to have been here for a long time. Then, he thought of the compromise between the Rock Ghost King and the new force. Was I the only one being hidden from them? Were they plotting something? At this time, the Hydra King regarded the Rock Ghost King, who had also sneaked into the mansion of the dead, as the secret partner of this new force. The Hydra King panicked at the thought. Since Tong Gua and the Rock Ghost King were secretly living here, why didn't I receive any news? Could it be that I'm also a target to be eliminated in their plan? Thinking of this, the small snake hiding in the crack of the stone was even more terrified. Damn it, we're all Ghost Kings. Did I offend you? What secret collusion or plan? Bring me along. You're making me so nervous. At this time, the Hydra King suddenly noticed that the Rock Ghost King had begun to move. His roots were uprooted from the ground and slowly moved toward His Excellency's palace. Seeing this, the Hydra King followed behind quietly, keeping a distance to prevent himself from being discovered. At this time, the Rock Ghost King was on the verge of a mental breakdown. The only thing that kept him here was to take a look at His Excellency's palace. After knowing that Tong Gua was here, he felt that it was impossible for him to control this secret force. He might even be destroyed by Tong Gua because he knew too much. As he got closer to the palace, the Rock Ghost King's body suddenly stopped. Then, his roots plunged into the ground and he turned into a small sapling again. Not far away, the Hydra quickly shrank back into the cracks in the floor, only revealing a small part of its head outside, quietly observing the outside world. The Rock Ghost King's heart pounded again as he sensed the aura that was dissipating not far away. He slowly twisted his body and looked towards the direction where the aura was dissipating. But when he saw the scene not far away, his eyes widened. In the resurrection point of the mansion of the dead not far away, who he was squatting on the ground with his chin resting on his hand. He was carefully observing Hidorigami's corpse, and at the same time, he was thinking about how to refine this body of Hidorigami. Right now, he did not even dare to leave the safe zone. He could only rely on refining Hidorigami to take revenge. Hence, he was very serious in his research. He would even take out ancient books from time to compare them. In the distance, the Rock Ghost King and the Hydra King were dumbfounded. From the aura emanating from the crimson body, they were sure that this was definitely Hidorigami. Even if his soul had dissipated, how could they not feel the energy waves emanating from the body of a ghost emperor powerhouse? Looking at who was not far away pointing at Hidorigami's body and occasionally kicking it angrily, The Rock Ghost King and the Hydra King were scared stiff. This place is too scary. This thought appeared in the minds of the two Ghost Kings who had sneaked in at the same time. Previously, the first Ghost King of Beiki, Tongua, had already frightened them. But now, the old corpse that even the King of Beiki might not be able to defeat had appeared. This was a little scary. As for Hitorigami, they had some understanding of it after living in the land of Beiki for so many years. They all knew that there was a very powerful old corpse in the burial ground. Although this old corpse was a huge threat, the King of Beiki had never taken the initiative to offend it. According to the King of Beiki, this old corpse's cultivation had reached the Ghost Emperor realm for a long time. Although it was seriously injured, he might not be able to defeat it with his strength. Therefore, in the eyes of the Rock Ghost King and the Hydra King, Hitorigami was a terrifying existence that was not weaker than the King of Beiki. However, this scene was too exciting. Hitorigami's soul had been stripped away, and his body was still being toyed with. A secret force. It was indeed a secret force. The Rock Ghost King, who felt that he had discovered too many secrets, was extremely frightened. He kept looking around, afraid that he would be discovered and killed. The strength of this new force in the mansion of the dead was far beyond their imagination. At this moment, the Rock Ghost King finally understood. Why did this new force still dare to invade the North region to cut down trees after his repeated warnings? It turned out that they were completely fearless. However, since Hitorigami's corpse had appeared here, the Rock Ghost King had another doubt. Who killed Hitorigami? Could it be the guy who was currently living in His Excellency's palace? Could he be the dead King of Beiki? At this moment, the Rock Ghost King did not dare to go in. This was too scary. He was afraid that if he went in, his soul would be extracted and he would become a corpse at the mercy of others. Moreover, he had already seen Tongua and Hitorigami as soon as he entered the mansion of the dead. He could not guarantee if there were other more terrifying existences in the mansion of the dead. After taking another look at His Excellency's palace, the Rock Ghost King quietly pulled out the roots from the ground and hurriedly ran toward the periphery of the mansion of the dead. He could not stay here, or else he would lose his life. However, after running a few steps, the Rock Ghost King stopped again. Looking at the small head that popped out from the cracks on the floor, cold sweat dripped down the Rock Ghost King's forehead. Similarly, the Hydra King also realized that he seemed to have been discovered. He immediately looked at the Rock Ghost King in horror. The two Ghost Kings looked at each other for a moment, and a thought appeared in their minds at the same time. It's over. Now that I've been discovered, will he call for help? Will he kill me to silence me? The two Ghost Kings looked at each other, thinking that the other was also the secret force of this new force in Beiki. Now that their secret infiltration had been discovered, they would probably be killed. After looking at each other for about 5 minutes, the Rock Ghost King suddenly shouted angrily. His body suddenly expanded and revealed his original form. The Hydra King also stretched his body and continued to expand. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a huge Hydra. After looking at each other again, both of them rose from the ground at the same time. One headed toward the North Rocks while the other headed toward the Ascension Zone. Run! Run faster! Otherwise you'll be killed. This was the only thought in the minds of the two Ghost Kings. He who was at the resurrection point, stood up in a daze. He looked at the empty space where the two Ghost Kings appeared and was a little stunned. Was it an illusion just now? Chapter 162. After that secret infiltration, the Rock Ghost King and the Hydra King felt that they had discovered a huge secret. For the next few days, no matter how crazy the players were, they did not care because they already knew how terrifying this force was. The speculation that the King of Beiki was still alive made them tremble in fear. At this moment, in the basement of the Mansion of the Dead, Bailey was holding a piece of Hitorigami's flesh and studying it attentively. This piece of flesh was stolen from Huhi's personal channel when he went offline. The purpose was to cut it into slices and study it. However, the sample that Bailey took was very small. It was only a small part of Hidorigami's body. The loss of this part would not attract Huhi's attention. According to Bailey, Hidorigami's physical strengthening method was actually very suitable for warrior players at this stage. If they could figure it out, they could make it into a new class advancement template for warriors. After all, the only choice for warriors at this stage was the Rune Master. Rune Master was an unarmed combat class that did not have the ability to control weapons. This was very troublesome for many players who liked to play with swords and knives. On one hand, they wanted to become stronger. On the other hand, they wanted to wield their favorite weapons. However, if they really chose the Rune Master, they would have to say goodbye to weapon control. This made them very conflicted. They often suggested in the forum, hoping that the officials could improve or introduce a new class advancement for warriors. Lu Wu naturally accepted the players' suggestions. Whether this new class could be born depended on Hidorigami. After an hour of Bailey's research, a blood-red ball of light appeared in front of her. Bailey raised her head and smiled. "Wu, it's done." Bailey habitually put her hands on her waist. She looked a little proud, as if she was waiting for someone to praise her. As the owner of the artifact, Lu Wu, who was useless in his own ability, immediately shouted 666 to express his praise for Bailey. The New Year's activities were still going on. The players worked hard to sweep the land of Baiki for the New Year's red packets and fashion fragments. At this moment, 2 game notifications were heard. Server announcement. A new class advancement for Berserkers, Zombie Bao's server announcement. A new class advancement for mages, Wood Spiritual Descendant. Seeing the window that appeared on the top right corner of the new class, many players immediately clicked on it. After entering the display of the new class, a warrior with red skin and bulging muscles stood proudly in the center of the display with his arms crossed over his chest. Then, the interface appeared. Profession Introduction, Frowny Face Zombie Demon. The path of the zombie demon, abandoning the soul, fusing the spirit with the body, refining the body to prove the divine Tao. This method can cultivate an immortal body, and when the Tao is achieved, all techniques cannot invade it. Occupation Specialty, Strong Physical Body. It is a growth-type occupation of a blood elementalist. Upon growth, it will possess the ability to control blood. Weapons. All weapons of the warrior category class advancement requirements. Level 30 for a warrior class. After the interface darkened, 3 berserkers that were specifically used for testing skills appeared on the screen. The moment they appeared, they immediately attacked Jiangba. Blood Chi Body Protection. Jiangba, who was in the center of the scene, separated his legs. His body sank and a blood mist emerged on the surface of his body. His eyes were gradually stained with blood, and they became incomparably red. The 3 berserkers closed in, raised their swords, and slashed at the zombie's body. The greatsword kept colliding with the zombie demon's body, but the zombie demon's flesh showed no signs of injury. Instead, the vitality on the surface of the zombie demon's body vibrated with every collision, and a damage number appeared above the heads of the 3 attacking berserkers. At this time, the skill introduction panel appeared. Blood Chi Body Protection uses the vitality in the body to form a defensive energy layer on the surface of the zombie demon's body. When receiving a physical attack, the zombie demon can counterattack with the vitality shock effect. Lasts for 1 minute. Cooldown time, 10 minutes. After the skill introduction faded, Jiangba revealed his 2 fangs. He swung his arm forward, and a sharp claw formed from vitality smashed into the bodies of the 3 berserkers in front of him, knocking them back with a loud bang. Subsequently, Jiangba waved his arms, and streaks of blood claws formed in the air. He swung them forward, and the 3 berserkers were blasted into black mist. Blood Kill. Attach the vitality in the body to the arms or weapons, and attack with the vitality force. Can be used in both long-range and close-range battles. Each attack consumes 2% of the total vitality. The higher the total vitality, the higher the attack power. After the 3 berserkers died, another figure condensed not far away from Jiangba. This time, it was a sorcerer wielding a wooden staff. Poison mist. In corrosion. As soon as the sorcerer appeared, he released 2 abilities at Jiangba. However, the vitality force on Jiangba's arms converged, and he did not attack. He just stood in the thick fog of poison and in corrosion, but there were no red words that indicated that his HP was decreasing. Zombie, passive. The body of a zombie has an extremely high resistance to negative statuses such as poison and corpse gas. This passive ability can grow as the level increases. After Jiangba's display ended, the scene did not end. Instead, a new figure appeared. This figure was wearing a light green gauze dress, and butterflies and bees were circling around his body. Even through the screen, everyone could smell a faint fragrance. Wood Spirit Descendant. Understands the path of the wood spirit and has the ability to communicate with nature. Profession specialty. A support type and control type profession, proficient in healing and control of wood type abilities. Equipped weapon. Staff profession advancement requirement. Sorcerer profession and level 30 initial skills. Nature's Gift, Wood Spirit Light, Wood Demon Summon, Plant Entanglement, Recovery, Nature's Gift LVL1, Passive. Every life of the Wood Spirit Descendant is a messenger of nature. Receives the gift of nature, and recovers plus 4 HP per second. Wood Spirit Light LVL1. Uses the power of the Wood Spirit to heal the wounds of a single target. The effect is affected by the level of the skill. Wood Demon Summon. Attaches a spirit to a plant for a short period of time. Flowers, grass, trees, and other plants can be used by the user in battle. The effect of this skill is affected by the level of the plant itself. The stronger the plant, the harder it is to attach a spirit to it. It can also be used to catalyze the growth of plant. Plant Entanglement. The locked target will be marked as an enemy of nature. The surrounding plants will automatically entangle the target. Plant seeds can be used to restrict the enemy in a plant-free area. Recovery. Explodes all the power of the wood spirit at once. The user's HP will be reduced by 10% every second. This ability will be automatically turned off when the user's HP is below 10%. The introduction of 2 professions at the same time undoubtedly caused an uproar among the players on the forum. The display of skills dazzled the eyes of the spectators. Peppa Boar. Finally, a tank. This Jiangba is even tankier than a Rune Master. Not only can it resist and attack, it also has its own resistance to negative statuses. I think this profession should be very powerful in one-on-one fights, especially against sorcerers. Invincible Loneliness. Blood Elementalist? It seems to be similar to my profession. Not bad. Not bad. Surely the strongest. Finally, a tank and a priest. Why does this Wood Spirit Descendant look so similar to the ladies of the Wood Spirit clan? But it seems to be stronger in terms of ability. Assassin_Creed. This Wood Spirit Descendant should be considered a team-oriented profession. Especially its healing ability. It's a must-have for team battles. You can take a look at the dog from Myth. His effect in team battles is really amazing. Expanding Axe_Dancing. I really want to change to a Jiangba, but I'm afraid that the materials are too scary. I'm a little scared, weak and pitiful. Poor_Trash. This is great. As a lousy player, I chose to be a sorcerer. I didn't dare to change to a 5 elements warlock because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to hit the target. Now it's great. I can change to a Wood Spirit Descendant decisively. I'm so happy. Crayon_Shinchan. The officials have finally given benefits to the lousy players. There are 2 lousy professions. One is tankier and the other is healing manually. Both are brainless professions. Laughing emoji. I know those players who want to change their professions are going to criticize me. I'm waiting to be criticized. Laughing emoji. Lightning_strike. Can anyone find out where Crayon_Shinchan's house is? I'll send a box of bombs to him. Laughing emoji. Gale_assassin. Why doesn't our great assassin have a second profession advancement? Are the officials trying to piss me off? Slams table emoji. Fermented biscuit. That's right. We are assassins. Give the officials a day to think about it. Can't they understand the feelings of assassin players? I'll give you a second profession advancement for assassins tomorrow. Slams table emoji. Assassin_alliance. Someone give me a collective protest post from the assassin players. Let the officials see our mighty momentum. We will never succumb to the despotic power of the officials. Slams table emoji. Ye_Schwer_ is the cutest. Although I've changed to a cursed apostle, why can't our great assassin have a second profession advancement? I'm very angry. Explosive emoji. Lu Wu felt helpless as he read the players' comments in the forum. After all, this was not a real game. Everything was based on reality. Of these two professions, one was a warrior template that was created based on Hidorigami's body, while the other was based on the Wood Spirit clan's innate ability and was modified by Bailey. Both of them had a fixed growth template. As for the assassin profession, Lu Wu did not have a complete growth system to create a second profession advancement template at this stage. Therefore, he was powerless even though he wanted to. Therefore, he accidentally deleted the thread that the assassin players were strongly protesting against. Bakey, the Arctic abyss. The chilly wind was howling and snowflakes were falling from the sky. Murphy and little Pomelo, who had arrived here, felt as if they had arrived in a different world from the land of Bakey. Everything had changed. The temperature here was extremely high. Even though they had lowered their senses, they could still feel the chill that penetrated deep into their bones. The two of them followed Tonggua's instructions. Without the help of a teleportation circle, they spent half a day traveling from the mansion of the dead to this world of ice and snow. Fortunately, they had bought special clothes that could keep them warm in the shop. Otherwise, they would not have been able to enter the depths of the abyss due to the various negative statuses and HP loss caused by the low temperature. This world seemed to be lifeless. They did not see a single plant along the way, let alone a living creature. Thinking of what Tonggua said, that there might be remnants of the defeated forces in the Arctic abyss, they felt that the possibility was even lower. As they ventured deeper into the abyss, the snow along the way was thick. If they were not careful, they might slip and fall into the abyss. Fortunately, both of them were assassins. Although they could not step on the snow without leaving a trace, they would not fall into the deep snow. Murphy, I have a feeling that we will freeze to death if we go any further. If there are any survivors here, I reckon that they will also freeze to death. Little Pomelo's face was flushed red from the cold. Her lips were trembling and turning purple as she spoke. Come on, if we really freeze to death, we will come again when we are stronger, Murphy said while shivering as he felt the chill from little Pomelo's body. All right. Thus, both of them ventured deeper. The Arctic abyss was truly like an abyss. Not long after they ventured deeper, even though they were wearing special protective clothing, blood started to drip from their heads. This made them feel a little regretful. They knew that if they went further in, they would not be able to hold on for long with their HP. Just as both of them were about to turn back, they heard shouts coming from afar. The sound was a little far away. Coupled with the howling of the cold wind, they could not hear it very clearly. They stopped and listened for a while. After confirming that there was indeed a sound coming from afar, they hurriedly ran toward the direction of the sound. As the sound became clearer and clearer, they could not help but slow down and slowly move forward. When they saw the scene in front of them clearly, both of them were stunned. They saw a group of teenagers around 7 or 8 years old, with blue hair and crystal-like pupils, fighting on the snowy ground. The scene was very intense. All of them were fighting with their hands and feet, as if they were going to kill you. However, what surprised them was that the group of teenagers did not seem to feel the cold at all. They were wearing thin clothes and walking barefoot on the snowy ground. After thinking for a while, both of them activated their analysis mode and glanced at one of the teenagers. Name: Ice Blue. Background: Snow Clan, descendants of the Protoss. Descendants of the ancient Baki Protoss, born with the ability to control ice and snow. Ability analysis: Ghost Commander level? After looking at the analysis panel, Murphy and little Pomelo were instantly filled with disbelief. Then, they looked at the other children. However, from all the feedback on the panel, they could see that these children were all powerhouses of the Ghost Commander level. One of them, who looked slightly older, was already a half-step Ghost General. They are so strong. We can't even defeat any one of these children, little Pomelo said softly. We can't mess with them, we can't mess with them, Murphy nodded quickly. At that moment, the dozens of children who were fighting on the snowy ground suddenly stopped fighting. Their figures disappeared on the spot and appeared in front of Murphy and little Pomelo. Cold sweat dripped down from their foreheads. Who are you? One of the older children asked curiously, looking at the two of them. We are the descendants of Baki, little Pomelo could not help but say. Descendants of Baki? Are you from the same clan? But why do you look so strange? The boy asked again. Upon hearing this, both of them could not help but think of the analysis panel. The explanation of the Snow Clan was that they were the descendants of the Baki Protoss. Then why are you fighting? Little Pomelo asked. Do we need a reason to fight? We just want to fight, the older boy said as he slapped the other boy beside him and sent him flying. After the boy who was slapped landed on the ground, his figure flashed and appeared next to the older boy again, punching him in the face. Boom! Suddenly, the group fight started again. The scene was chaotic, and dozens of people were wrestling with each other again. Little Pomelo was speechless. Murphy was speechless. Chapter 163. Murphy and little Pomelo were dumbfounded as they looked at the Ice Snow Clan's youths who were punching each other. The folklore here seems to be a little tough, Murphy said in surprise. Little Pomelo nodded subconsciously when she heard that. However, since they had seen the Ice Snow Clan, they had no intention of leaving. They planned to interrogate them after the battle to see if they could find any information about the Cursed Clan. The fight lasted for more than half an hour. If it were not for the potions, Murphy and little Pomelo would not have been able to hold on in the cold wind. After the fight, the group of youths appeared in front of them again. Outsiders, I will bring you to the Ice Elder. Come with us, said the taller boy who was leading the group. Smack! A kick came from the side and knocked the taller boy to the ground. I think we should bring them to the Snow Elder. Before he could finish his sentence, another youth next to him pressed him to the ground and started punching his face. Ice Elder! Ice Elder! The boy who was standing at the back grabbed the one who was punching the taller boy and started punching his head. Snow Elder! Snow Elder! Murphy was speechless. Little Pomelo was speechless. The fight broke out again. Murphy and Pomelo were stunned by the scene of them starting a fight without saying a word. The fight went on for another half an hour. When they felt that it was enough, they stopped and came to Murphy and little Pomelo again. This time, before they could speak, Murphy took the initiative to speak. Brothers of the same clan, let's go to the Ice Elder first and then the Snow Elder. Murphy was afraid that if he did not say so, these Ice Snow Clan youths would fight again. All right then. Some of the youths seemed a little disappointed. Then, under their lead, the two began to go deeper into the Arctic abyss. However, the deeper they went, the more the temperature dropped. After seeing the magnificent ice snow castle in the distance, Murphy and little Pomelo finally breathed a sigh of relief. Along the way, they didn't dare to stop using potions. Otherwise, their HP would drop rapidly and they would die in less than a minute. When they arrived at the entrance of the Ice Snow City, the leading teenager stretched out his hand and waved it in front of him. Suddenly, the area around the city gate began to distort, and the surrounding space began to ripple like water. The ice-snow castle in front of them was torn apart like a painting, and what appeared in front of them was a small village built with ice blocks. The two of them were stunned. It turned out that the majestic castle outside was just a facade, and the small village inside was the real deal. However, in this world of ice and snow, just who was this acting cool for? Then, under the guidance of the youths, the two of them came to an ice house. The leading youth raised his leg and kicked the door. At the same time, he shouted, "Elder Bing, are you there?" Boom! Ice shards swirled in the air, and the ice door shattered instantly. The two white-haired old men in the room slowly turned around and looked at the door. "Elder Shwe, you're here too. I was planning to kick your door down later." The leading youth scratched his head with an honest look on his face. The white-haired elder who was addressed as Elder Snow chuckled and turned to look at Elder Ice. "Do you want to beat them up?" "Of course." After saying that, Elder Ice leaped into the air and picked up the leading youth. Then, he gave him a good beating, causing the youth to scream in pain. After a round of brutal beating, the youth was thrown out of the room and lay on the ground, barely breathing. When the other youths saw this, they immediately took a step back in fear. "Outsiders? How did you come in?" Elder Ice cast his gaze at Murphy and Little Pomelo. After witnessing Elder Ice's brutality, Murphy and Little Pomelo quickly pointed their fingers at the group of youths. "I'll King beat you to death. Are you pigs? How dare you bring outsiders in?" Elder Ice reached out and formed an ice staff. When the group of youths saw this, they turned around and began to run for their lives. Elder Ice chased after them and beat them with his ice staff until they cried and screamed. "Elder Ice, they are our clansmen, not outsiders." "That's what they said," the youths from the Ice Snow clan explained as they ran. "Do you really believe what they said? You bunch of idiots, can't you tell that they look different from us?" Elder Ice beat them even more ferociously as he spoke. After beating all the youths until they were lying on the ground, barely breathing, Elder Ice stopped and walked toward Murphy and Little Pomelo. When Murphy and Little Pomelo witnessed this scene, they were shocked and could not help but take a step back. "Outsiders, this is the forbidden land of the Ice Snow clan. However, since you were brought here by the children, I will not hold you responsible for trespassing. You may leave." Although he was a little scared, Murphy still spoke. "Elder Ice, we are here to look for you." "Look for me? What for?" Elder Ice was stunned. "We are actually looking for the descendants of the cursed clan who escaped into the Arctic abyss." "Elder Ice, do you know where they are now? The cursed clan? I seem to have some impression of them." Elder Ice stroked his beard and began to recall. "I remember now, they seem to be there." Elder Ice smiled. Murphy and Little Pomelo were pleasantly surprised when they heard that. "Since all of you are here, it won't make much of a difference. Come with me." Murphy and Little Pomelo were excited to see such a reasonable Elder Ice. They felt that although the Ice Snow clan was a tough people, they were actually very easy to get along with. Hence, the two of them began to walk toward the back of the Ice Snow village under the guidance of Elder Ice and Elder Snow. When they arrived at the cliff behind the village, Elder Snow pointed at the statues embedded in the ice cliff. "That should be them." Murphy and Little Pomelo raised their heads and looked at the ice sculptures. They immediately realized that there were living creatures living inside the ice sculptures. The ice sculptures that Elder Shwe had pointed out were analyzed by the artifact, and their data panels were displayed. Zhu Xing, Elder of the Cursed Clan. Cause of death. Stepped into the Ice Snow Clan's forbidden land and was sealed in the ice cliff forever. Zhu Gan, Elder of the Cursed Clan. Cause of death. Stepped into the Ice Snow Clan's forbidden land and was sealed in the ice cliff forever. Zhu Jin, Cursed Clan. Cause of death. Stepped into the Ice Snow Clan's forbidden land and was sealed in the ice cliff forever. Murphy and Little Pomelo, who thought that the Ice Snow Clan was easy to get along with, were dumbfounded when they saw the analyzed cause of death. What made them even more upset was that all the cursed clan members were dead. What about their prajna scarification? Could it be that they had no choice but to go to hell? The two of them were instantly depressed. At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared above their heads. Old Ice, Old Snow, who asked you to bring outsiders here? Elder Ice and Elder Snow's expression changed when they heard it. Boss, please listen to our explanation. This has nothing to do with us. I won't listen, I won't listen. A white figure fell from the top of the ice cliff. As soon as he landed, he grabbed Elder Ice and Elder Snow into his hand. Then, he raised his hand and smashed it on their heads. I asked you to bring outsiders here. I asked you to be ignorant and disobedient. Are the rules set by me, the dignified clan leader, so useless? Murphy and little Pomelo were completely speechless when they saw how the two elders, who were so ferocious just a moment ago, were hugging their heads and getting beaten up. That was truly ferocious. Chapter 164. After beating up Elder Bing and Elder Shwe brutally, the white light on the white figure's body dissipated, revealing his true form. Murphy and little Pomelo were stunned when they saw his appearance. The person whom the two elders addressed as their boss was a 7- or 8-year-old child. He had an arrogant look on his face as if he was the best in the world. The data analysis panel appeared in front of them. Frozen, middle stage Ghost Emperor, character details. The descendant of the ancient Baki Divine clan, the leader of the Ice Snow clan, the strongest general under the command of the first king of Baki. Ability details. Preliminary control of the law of ice? Official note. Do not provoke him. Murphy and little Pomelo were horrified when they saw the feedback. As far as they knew, the Sea King and Tongua were the strongest besides the demonic god, whose strength was unknown. However, the two of them were only in the Ghost King realm. Yet, this child hiding in the Ice Snow world had the strength of the Ghost Emperor realm. It was unbelievable to them. After rubbing his hands, Frozen put his hands behind his back and looked at the two elders who were badly battered. Tell me, how did they get in? Boss, the children brought them in. It has nothing to do with us, Elder Shwe quickly explained, afraid that he would be beaten up again. Yes, old Shwe is right. It was the children who brought them here. They seem to be looking for the cursed tribe. The Ice Elder pointed at the ice sculptures that were embedded in the cliff as he spoke. Following the direction of Elder Bing's finger, Frozen looked up at the ice sculptures of the cursed clan, then shifted his gaze to Murphy and little Pomelo. Who told you about the cursed clan in the Arctic abyss? Tongua. They betrayed Tongua without hesitation. Who's Tongua? Frozen was stunned. He had never heard of this name before. However, it seemed like this guy was very familiar with the Arctic abyss. Tongua is a big goose. Murphy answered immediately. No, he's a celestial crane. I heard that he used to be the strongest ghost king in Baki. Little Pomelo added. Celestial crane? The strongest ghost king? Frozen was stunned. In Frozen's memory, he was the strongest ghost king in the land of Baki. Since when was there a Tongua? This Tongua is the strongest ghost king of Baki? Who is the current king of Baki? Frozen asked again. The current king of Baki, Luyen? Your village has access to the internet. Little Pomelo, who was about to complain, stopped abruptly because she was afraid of getting beaten up. What? Frozen's expression changed drastically. Where did the king of Baki go then? Frozen felt like he was about to explode. Back then, he obeyed the first king of Baki's order and lived in seclusion in the Arctic abyss for hundreds of thousands of years. But now, he was told that the first king of Baki was long gone. Didn't that mean that his clan had wasted hundreds of thousands of years here? Thinking of this, Frozen's face turned green with anger. Who does that Luyen think he is? How can he be the king of Baki? I'm going to kill him right now. Since our king is gone, the divine descendant of Baki, Icebound, should be the king of Baki. By the way, is the guardian spirit of Baki still around? Frozen seemed to have thought of something and quickly asked. Guardian spirit? Murphy and little Pomelo were stunned for a moment. They immediately recalled that Tong Gua's analysis panel mentioned that it was the incarnation of the Bakie's guardian spirit. Clan leader, it seems that the guardian spirit is Tong Gua. Hearing this, Frozen gradually clenched his fists. Tong Gua, is it? It seems like he's not dead. Very good. Let's kill him again. Speaking of the guardian spirit, Frozen recalled the ancestral scripture, the Way of Fate, worshipped by the Ice Snow clan. This scripture was stolen by the Bakie's guardian spirit. However, the guardian spirit also paid the price for it. He was besieged and killed by the Ice Snow clan. However, he did not expect that the guardian spirit was not dead. He even changed his name and lived on. Very good. Lu Yen and Tong Gua, both of them must die, Frozen said with a ferocious smile on his face. Knowing that the first king of Bakie was dead, Frozen felt that no one could suppress him anymore. It was time for the Ice Snow clan to rule the land of Bakie again. Looking at Frozen, who was very pleased with himself, Murphy and little Pomelo were speechless. They did not have the heart to tell him that there was no news of Lu Yen anymore. I'm very happy. You too, what reward do you want? Frozen looked at Murphy and little Pomelo and said proudly with his hands behind his back. Forget it, the Prajna life scarification is gone, we have to go. Murphy waved his hand, looking as if he was completely disappointed. What bullsh *t Prajna scarification? Do you think that the descendants of the Protoss can't offer anything good? Frozen immediately rolled up his sleeves, looking like he was about to beat someone up. That's right. Our Ice Snow clan has everything. We even have books that can allow one to become a god. The two Ice Snow clan elders chimed in. The Book of Ascension? Where is it? Murphy and little Pomelo's eyes lit up. Hearing this, Frozen, who was very proud of himself, suddenly felt embarrassed. Ahem. The Book of Ascension is a treasure of our clan. Naturally, we can't give it to you as a reward. Then we want the Prajna scarification. The two elders looked depressed again. What bullsh *t Prajna scarification? What is it? Frozen was a little angry. This is the strongest skill of the cursed clan, the strongest ability of the assassins. No one in the whole region has learned it yet, Murphy and little Pomelo said immediately. The strongest skill of the cursed clan? The whole region? Frozen was stunned. Isn't the strongest assassin clan in Bakie the Shadow Stream? How did it become the cursed clan from hell? Shadow Stream? Murphy and little Pomelo were also very confused. They had never heard of this clan, and they had never heard of this clan from other forces in Bakie. After thinking for a while, Frozen spoke again. Since you want to learn the strongest skill of the assassins, I have it. But it's not something that the cursed clan can compare to. Is it that Shadow Stream? Little Pomelo asked subconsciously. That's right. Can it be stronger than the Prajna scarification? What is the Prajna scarification? Is it that powerful? Frozen was a little speechless. He felt that these two people in front of him were so stubborn. Of course it's powerful. It's one of the ultimate skills of the Naraka realm. After learning it, you can kill whoever you want. Isn't it just the Naraka realm? Frozen, who originally wanted to mock them, went silent as he spoke. After hearing about the Naraka realm and the ultimate skill, Frozen already knew how powerful this ability was. The Naraka realm was originally a cultivation system in the underworld. The ultimate skill was even more famous for its valiance. How could he not have heard of it? Don't you think it's very powerful? It's all right, Frozen forced a smile. But the strongest skill of the Naraka realm is its spells. This assassination technique is not as good as the Shadow Stream clan, Frozen said stubbornly. Really? Of course it's true. The Shadow Stream clan has assassinated a god before. Their assassination technique is the real deal. Then, did the assassination succeed? Murphy and little Pomelo were instantly tempted. No. All right, clan leader, if you have soul coins, just give us some. If not, then forget it. We've come here for nothing." Murphy and little Pomelo were speechless as they waved their hands and were about to leave. "Stop right there." Frozen felt that he could not come up with anything that could satisfy Murphy and little Pomelo. At the same time, his stubbornness rose. Although the Shadowstream clan didn't succeed in their assassination, that god was still injured. This kind of ability is definitely not inferior to the Naraka realm. In terms of assassination techniques, they are far ahead. If you don't believe me, just watch. As he spoke, Frozen waved his hand forward. Bits of ice crystals sprinkled and an image appeared in front of him. In the image, a group of masked men in black were challenging a red-haired man who was floating in the air. The man was surrounded by a red mist. Every time he waved his arms, the stars in the sky would shift, alternating day and night. However, even in the face of such a valiant man, the group of men in black did not flinch. They kept attacking the man. The tactics of this group of men in black were very strange. There were more than 10 people present, but they suddenly turned into one person. Then, many people emerged from the shadow of one person and turned into more than 10 people. Every time the crimson-haired man launched an attack, the black-clothed men would switch positions, and their methods were ghostly like shadows. They were truly marvelous and unfathomable. At the end of the image, the red-haired man was finally angry. The whole sky was illuminated by the red light, and a red sun rose. Under its radiation, the whole world was dyed red. The masked men were finally ignited by the red light and turned into ashes. How is it? Is this assassination technique good? Frozen asked proudly. We'll learn it. Murphy and little Pomelo's eyes lit up again. Haha, see? I told you that the Ice Snow clan has countless treasures. How could they not satisfy you? Frozen raised his hand and waved. A black light ball slowly appeared in his hand. This is the inheritance of the Shadowstream clan. Take it. However, the inheritance of this clan is not simple. It's extremely difficult for people without the talent of the Shadowstream to understand its profound meaning. However, if you study it carefully, you might be able to understand a little of the profound meaning of assassination. After throwing the black light ball to Murphy and little Pomelo, Frozen floated in the air and shouted, "We, the Ice Snow clan, will cancel the agreement to live in seclusion today. The entire clan will leave the country and rule the land of Baki." The clansmen who heard Frozen's order immediately walked out of the ice house and kowtowed to their clan leader. After the kowtow, the entire Ice Snow clan became busy. They began to pack their things and quickly assembled. Seeing that the clansmen had assembled, Frozen and Elder Snow appeared in front of the thousands of clansmen. Clan leader, what's in the outside world? Clan leader, is the outside world as fun as this place? Clan leader, seeing Frozen's appearance, the clansman suddenly asked curiously. At this time, Frozen raised his hand and the crowd suddenly became quiet. This time, the purpose of leaving the Arctic abyss is to seize the throne of the king of Baki. Therefore, the war is about to begin. You will have endless fights. Hearing this, the crowd became noisy, but everyone was happy. Fighting is good, I love fighting. That's great, endless fights every day. I didn't know that the outside world is so interesting. The outside world is so happy. We can fight every day. Let's go and join them. I really envy the group outside who can fight every day. This time I can finally go out and fight with them. I'm so happy. Looking at the joy on the faces of the clansmen, Frozen could not help but smile. Then, he waved his hand. Let's go. Immediately, thousands of Ice Snow clan members began to rush toward the land of Baki under Frozen's lead. When they arrived at the border of the Arctic abyss, Frozen suddenly stopped. Then, the clansmen also stopped. Looking at the figure standing not far away, Frozen's expression gradually became awkward. Not far away, a white-haired old man was looking at him with a smile. Yo, isn't this little phone? What's wrong? Are you itching for a beating? My words don't work anymore? My king! Frozen shouted awkwardly. I heard that you want to be the king of Bakey? The white-haired old man asked again. No, no such thing. I'm just bringing my clansmen out for a walk. I'll be back soon, Frozen quickly explained. At this time, Frozen felt like strangling Murphy and little Pomelo to death. How could they trick him like this? Thinking about how they lied to him after he gave them treasures, Frozen only felt that the world was evil and people were not what they used to be. How hateful! You're really just taking a walk? I'm really just taking a walk, Frozen forcibly explained. Then why did you bring your food along when you came out for a walk? The white-haired old man asked again with a smile. Hearing that, Frozen turned his head and saw that his clansmen were carrying big and small bags, as if they were on a long journey. My king! Frozen was exhausted. He felt that he could no longer find a suitable excuse. Get lost. If you come out again without my order, I'll break your legs, the white-haired old man suddenly said with a ferocious expression. Yes, yes, yes. Seeing that, Frozen quickly waved his hand behind him, signaling for them to retreat. Hence, the Ice Snow Clan, who were originally preparing to conquer Bakey, once again returned to the Arctic abyss dejectedly. Chapter 165. After returning to the ice and snow village, Frozen's face turned pale. He immediately ordered to search the entire new Arctic abyss to find the two liars. If he did not turn the two of them into ice sculptures and inlay them on the cliff, Frozen felt that he would not be able to swallow his anger. After all, he had almost violated the agreement with the king of Bakey after being deceived this time. Getting his leg broken was a small matter. Based on his understanding of the king of Bakey, it was possible that the king of Bakey would kill him. However, after meeting the king of Bakey this time, Frozen's heart was filled with doubts. Since our king is still alive, why is the current king of Bakey not our king? And why did our king order our Ice Snow Clan to live in seclusion? What is he planning? Frozen couldn't figure it out, so he personally went out to search the Arctic abyss. He wanted to find the young couple and interrogate them carefully before killing them to understand the current situation in Bakey. However, when Frozen was preparing to lead his people out of the Arctic abyss, Murphy and little Pomelo had already left the Arctic abyss in advance. They were flying towards the mansion of the dead. According to the analysis of the godly weapon, this black sphere was actually a legacy, so they could not wait to change their class. Shadow Flow Profound Inheritance. Inheritance Details. It contains the true essence of assassination of the Shadowstream clan. After using it, one can obtain the Shadowstream inheritance. At this moment, they suddenly had a feeling that they had gotten it effortlessly. Originally, they had sacrificed themselves for Hanya, but they hadn't expected to obtain a hidden inheritance in the end. This was undoubtedly a pleasant surprise. After returning to the mansion of the dead, Murphy and little Pomelo encountered another problem. That was, who should this inheritance be given to? Murphy wanted little Pomelo to use it, and little Pomelo wanted Murphy to use it. Both of them had been pushing back and forth for a long time, but they still did not use the hidden inheritance. In the end, the two of them stared at each other, not knowing what to do. Little Pomelo, you can use it. You said that I'll be the one making the decisions in the future, Murphy said after thinking for a while. But my assassination technique is not as good as yours. We can only be stronger if you use it, little Pomelo immediately added. Be obedient. I don't want to listen. After persuading each other for a long time, the two of them fell into silence again. In the end, the two of them decided to use the simplest and most brutal method to make a decision. Rock, paper, scissors. However, their minds were connected, and they could sense each other's thoughts. Thus, they once again fell into an infinite stalemate. After tossing and turning for a long time, the two of them fell silent again. In the end, the two of them had no choice but to toss a stone to decide who the inheritance belonged to. After picking up a stone from the ground, Murphy cut the stone into two flat surfaces. He carved the word Mo on one side and U on the other. He then threw them into the sky. Whichever word landed facing the sky would be the one to use the inheritance. Fortunately, the stone did not stand up after it landed on the ground. When it landed, the word Pomelo was facing upwards. Despite little Pomelo's reluctant expression, she still accepted the legacy black ball, and chose to use it. As the power of the inheritance flowed into little Pomelo's body, the divine artifact was operating, continuously analyzing and digitizing the power of the inheritance. During the 10-minute inheritance process, Murphy, who was connected to his soul, was astonished to discover that the data panel on his body had started to become chaotic. At the same time, his body's form was also changing. At this moment, the game notification sounded. Server announcement. Players Murphy and Little Pomelo have undergone a mutation in their inherited class during the hidden class advancement process. They have obtained the hidden class Dark Shadow Twin in the panel of Murphy and Little Pomelo. The panel of the hidden class had already been formed. Dark Shadow Twin. The profound inheritance of the Shadow Clan mutation, activating the state of inheritance in two people. Class introduction. Under the shadow, you are me, and I am you. I will melt into your shadow and become your sharpest dagger. Class specialty. Life sharing, shadow swap equipped weapon. Dagger class basic skills. Shadow Stream Fusion, Shadow Stream Change, Shadow Stream Kill, Lord of Dark Shadows Gold level ability. A Shadow Stream Fusion. Active effect. Two people in one as the main body and the other as the shadow. In this state, one's health will be doubled and their attributes will be added, no cooldown. Passive effect. In this state, the health will be shared. As long as one person is alive, the other person will not die even if his health is depleted. The damage sustained will be transferred to the other person. Shadow Stream Change. Skill effect. In the twin mode, both of them can swap positions at any time, no cooldown. A Shadow Stream Kill. Passive effect. In this state, one is Yang and the other is Yin. When the target is hit at the same time, a shadow symbol of Yang and Yin will be marked on the target's body. If there are two shadow symbols of Yin and Yang on the target's body at the same time, an explosion will occur. The damage of the explosion is related to the user's attribute. Lord of Dark Shadows Gold level ability. Skill introduction. After activating this skill with the user as the center, the Dark Knight mode will be activated within a radius of 30 meters. The effect of the twin mode will be reduced to a radius of 15 meters. Lasts for 8 minutes and has a cooldown of 24 hours. Dark Knight mode introduction. After activating this ability, the enemy's senses, sight, smell, taste, hearing, and pain within the coverage will be shielded. Even Lu Wu and Bailey were stunned when they saw the birth of this new class. According to Bailey, the gold level ability, Lord of Dark Shadows, was the supreme inheritance of the Shadow Clan. However, apart from the siblings who created this ability, no one else had ever learned this supreme profound meaning. This was because this ability had a very strict requirement on the user's talent. In the game, the ability that was judged as gold level by the artifact had only appeared once in the server, and that was Gu Yu, who had obtained the inheritance of the demonic god. However, Murphy and Little Pomelo were just ordinary people, but they managed to obtain the highest inheritance of the Shadow Clan by relying on the sharing of souls. This was undoubtedly an unexpected surprise for Lu Wu. After all, the stronger the players were, the more advantageous it would be for him. He loved talented players the most. The profound meaning of the Shadow Clan was undoubtedly extremely difficult to understand. Although Murphy and Little Pomelo had already advanced their class with the help of the artifact, they had not fully grasped the way to use the skill. In order to let the two young lovers understand the profound meaning of the profound meaning as soon as possible, Bailey immediately sent them the teaching video that was preserved in the inheritance of the Shadow Clan after making some modifications. When Murphy and Little Pomelo saw the video sent by the officials, they were also stunned. They did not expect that obtaining an inherited class would attract the attention of the officials. At this moment, the official forum was filled with questions. Crayon_Shinchan. I'll give you 1 minute to appear in the attribute panel. How can the two of you advance to a hidden class at the same time? Why didn't you bring me along? Extremely evil emoji? Surely_the_strongest. I want to see it. I can tell that it's an assassin just by looking at the name of the class. Let me see it quickly, anxious emoji. Peppa_Boar. Has the hidden class of assassins finally appeared? I'm really looking forward to it. I'm waiting for the screenshot. Invincible_loneliness. 2 people advancing to a hidden class at the same time, this has never happened before. I'm looking forward to it +2. Watermelon_Taro. I firmly believe that the next hidden class advancement will be me. Keep it up. While the players were discussing, a video was posted on the forum and it quickly attracted the attention of a large number of players. The number of viewers kept increasing and reached more than 500,000 in a short while. Introduction of the hidden class of Shadow Twin. Here's the detailed video. I'll share it with everyone. I'm waiting for your reward, obedient emoji. The video attached to the post was the teaching video that Bailey had sent to Murphy and Little Pomelo. Many curious players immediately clicked on the video and entered the viewing area. In the video, the silhouettes of a man and a woman appeared. The man had a black rune mask on his face, while the woman had a purple rune mask on her face. They stood back to back in the wilderness, and were surrounded by densely packed masked figures who were also wearing black tight. The game has begun, hee hee hee. The woman's delicate laughter could be heard. Then, she threw the dagger in her hand and her figure slowly merged into the shadow of the man. It's time to kill. The man reached out his hand and caught the dagger that had fallen. At this moment, the assassins around them shouted and launched their attack. However, the man's figure suddenly disappeared from where he was and dashed forward. The dagger in his hand danced between his fingers like a butterfly. Lives fell one after another along with the slashes of the blood-red threads. While attacking, the players on the forum were surprised that the person's figure kept changing. One moment, he was a man, the next moment, he was a woman. Sometimes he would merge and sometimes he would separate. Sometimes the two of them would be dozens of meters apart, but in an instant their positions would switch. Especially when they were attacking the same target, 2 runes would suddenly appear on the forehead of the target that was hit. Then, the runes would collide and the body of the target would explode instantly. Such a mysterious method had completely shocked the players in the forum. The killing continued. Later on, even the shadows of the enemies would be controlled by them, becoming invisible killers. The black arms would be inserted into the bodies of the shadow owners, catching them off guard. At this moment, the 2 figures in the screen separated again. The time of night has come. Do you see the blood-red flowers blooming in the darkness, brother? Yes, in the darkness we are the kings. Tremble in fear under the domination of our shadows, weaklings. As soon as the 2 of them finished speaking, the surroundings instantly fell into darkness. Through the change of perspective in the video, the players found that the world in front of the masked men had become pitch black. They could not hear or see anything, as if they had fallen into a dark abyss. However, the death and killing continued. Clusters of blood-red flowers slowly bloomed in the darkness, and figures continued to fall. When the darkness ended, the surroundings were already filled with the corpses of the enemies. At this moment, the figure of the woman appeared behind the man again. What a delightful killing, brother. Let's go. The next battle is to slay a god. The dagger in the man's hand slowly disappeared, and then he walked forward. Hearing this, the woman hurriedly followed behind the man. Brother, what does the blood of a god taste like? I haven't tasted it, but it should be delicious. This post was quickly followed by a large number of players, and it was pinned to the top of the official homepage. All the players who watched the video were shocked by the skills of the 2 assassins. This kind of manipulation of shadows, merging with the shadows, and switching positions was really unpredictable. Many of the mages, in particular, could not help but shiver when they saw the class display. They could imagine how terrifying it would be to be targeted by such killers. It was already a problem if they could even throw their skills at the target. In the forum, Crayon_Shinchan, "Oh my god, the end of us mages is here. Fortunately, only 2 people have mastered this class, or else I would be really scared. Yi_Schwer_is_the_cutest. Oh my god, why didn't I get it? My heart is filled with envy and jealousy at this moment." Crying emoji. Peppa_Boar, "We really can't afford to offend them. If the 2 players who obtained this hidden class could also show off like this, my greatsword would be able to stun anyone and they would probably be fooled." Shueli_the_strongest. As a cursed apostle, I just want to say that before I learn the Prajna scarification, these 2 people are really not to be messed with. Invincible_loneliness. I'm shocked. It's like watching a movie. This ability is too awesome, especially the last skill of turning off the lights. It can directly make the opponent feel autistic. It's a little too awesome. AO_family_swordsmanship. This ability is really awesome. I hope to fight with you guys one day. However, I still can't figure out how I can find you in the dark when you block my senses. Anyway, I look forward to meeting you guys. Cultivating_longevity. Amazing, amazing. This inheritance is really awesome. However, after watching the video, I feel that these abilities can only be performed so smoothly by 2 people who have great teamwork. This will be a huge challenge for the 2 friends who have obtained the inheritance. Keep it up and congratulations. A_large_wolfdog. This last gold level ability is too insane. It blocks the senses, and I can't even find the person. I think this inheritance can be ranked second after the demonic god's inheritance. Crayon_Shinchan replied to A_large_wolfdog. If you say it's second, then it's second. I think it's first. Laughing emoji. Bite me if you don't like it. Laughing emoji. Demolition_officer_captain. Did the original poster get it? Is the original poster interested in coming to the demolition_officer to develop? Looking forward to it. Assassin_creed. I'm not sure if it's the strongest hidden class in the server, but it's definitely the strongest among the assassins. This ability is really insane. The Shadow Assassin is really terrifying. Watermelon_taro. Dihua_shio. If this class is trained well, it can really make your scalp go numb. You won't be able to find the person when you attack. The assassination by controlling other people's shadows is also unbeatable. Taoist_zombie_hunter. I suddenly have a bad feeling. I don't know why, but I'm panicking now. Confused emoji. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Taoist_zombie_hunter. Of course you're panicking. You're the public enemy of the server. Laughing emoji. Peppa_Boar replied to Taoist_zombie_hunter. You should stay in the safe zone for the rest of your life. Although the evil calamity has ended, I'm afraid that if I let you out, you'll give us another undead calamity. Angry emoji. Watermelon_taro replied to Taoist_zombie_hunter. Just leave the server. If you don't, we'll be really scared. Crying emoji. Taoist_zombie_hunter. Everyone, shut up. After I refine Hitorigami, I'll fight the Rock, Hydra, and other bosses alone. The players in the forum were discussing this new hidden class, but they all used the word shio to describe it. Soon, it became another horrifying class that could compete with the inherited class of the demonic god. Lu Wu also asked Bailey if it was possible to reduce this class and change it into the second-class advancement template for assassin players. However, Bailey shook her head to indicate that it was impossible. According to Bailey, the Shadow Clan was originally a group assassination operation. Their assassination required a tacit understanding and cooperation. This kind of tacit understanding could only be achieved after tens, hundreds, or even thousands of years of practice. It was impossible for the players to achieve this. However, Murphy and little Pomelo were different. They were twin souls. If it was tacit understanding, even the siblings who created the Shadow Clan could not be compared to them. This was because the twin souls were completely connected to each other. They were innately far ahead of the other players, and it was impossible for other players to have such a condition. Even the experienced and knowledgeable Bailey was full of expectations for this young couple. She felt that if they continued to develop like this, they might really surpass the siblings of the Shadow Clan in the future and become the Shadow Assassins who could hold their own in the Baiki army in the future. Lu Wu was also very happy to have gained 2 generals with unlimited potential. This time, he had added new members to his list of potential players. How delightful! Chapter 166. After the New Year's event ended, the players were no longer disturbed by the evil disaster. Many people gathered at the Liuli coast as conquering the ocean became one of the main themes of the players. At the same time, the Great Dragon Guild's Great Dragon warship set sail after the members of the Great Dragon Guild disembarked and slowly sailed out of the coast. Damong, is the island that you mentioned really that magical? Chen Ziyu and the other guild leaders stood at the bow of the warship and chatted while looking at the blue sea. That's right. If it wasn't for the evil disaster's sudden appearance, I would have taken a deeper look at it. But because of the disaster, I had to rush back to the mansion of the dead. What a pity. Tell me more about it, Shweli asked curiously. Yes, this island is located at the south of the Void Ocean. It's called Sunset Island on the map. I accidentally discovered it when I was fishing with a few of my brothers. After all, it's a new island. Out of curiosity, I went up to have a look. Guess what I found? What? Shweli pricked up her ears. A unique herb. According to the analysis, this herb can be used to make a blood recovery potion. Shweli pulled a long face when she heard this. I thought it would be an inheritance, a relic, or a treasure. What's the use of this herb if it can't be consumed directly? We don't have an alchemist. Shweli, you're wrong. This potion is useless now, but it doesn't mean it won't be useful in the future. If a life profession like alchemist appears in the future, it might be too late. Think about it. We sold the Netherworld Pearl to the mall. That's a huge loss. Chen Ziyu nodded at Wang Damang's analysis. Battle Online was a game with a high degree of freedom. It was highly possible that a life profession like alchemist would appear in the future. Since there was an island that was rich in such resources, they naturally had to take a look. Alright, we're here to look for treasures anyway. Let's go to Sunset Island this time. Who knows, we might find some other treasures other than the sunset grass. Chen Ziyu had a thought. The warship sped up and headed towards the location mentioned by Wang Damong. Void Ocean, the coast of Sunset Island. The lavender sunset grass swayed gently in the wind. Among the sunset grass, half of a delicate face was revealed under a hat made of flower petals. Under the sunlight, her delicate face looked charming and lively, making her look exceptionally charming. Perhaps because of the light, she slowly opened her eyes. She rubbed her eyes, pulled the fishing rod towards the shore, and looked at the hook expectantly. You still didn't catch any fish? There's no meat to eat again. With a depressed expression, she stood up and stretched. Her purple dress swayed with the wind along with the sunset grass, revealing her graceful figure. Just as she was about to turn around, a curious look suddenly appeared in the woman's eyes. Not far away, a blue warship was quickly approaching. After thinking for a moment, a smile appeared in the woman's eyes, and she quickly walked toward the place where the blue warship was going to dock. Get off the boat and go ashore. Following Chen Ziyu's order, the Great Dragon Guild members began to disembark from the Great Dragon warship. After all the people went ashore, Chen Ziyu turned around and stored the Great Dragon ship in the space. He began to gather people and prepare to explore the island. At this moment, a beautiful figure wearing a petal hat appeared on the shore. Everyone's eyes immediately focused on that exquisite and moving face. After staring at each other for a while, Chen Ziyu came back to his senses and hurriedly said, "Prepare for battle." After all, the woman in front of him was not a player. Since she was in the Void Ocean, she might even be a subordinate of the Sea King. Hence, Chen Ziyu dared not let his guard down. "Boss, she's a beauty. She's not lethal." "No, she's lethal." Wang Damong stared at the woman and said, "It's really beautiful." Sydney Lee also had a jealous look on her face. "Is there any meat?" the woman suddenly said with a smile. Her voice was as pure and pleasant as spring water, making Wang Damong and the others feel refreshed again. "Meat?" Chen Ziyu was stunned. But to be cautious, he still used his analysis ability to look at the woman. Winchim, Songwood Clan. Race information, Singers of the Sea. Their chanting can bring about various buff. An extremely rare marine race that is almost extinct. Character information. None. When Chen Ziyu saw this person's information, he was still unsure if this person was a subordinate of the Sea King. "What meat? What do you want meat for?" "Eat." Feng Ling suddenly stared at Chen Ziyu as if he was an idiot. "Yes." Wang Damong immediately took out a piece of specially processed meat jerky from the channel and threw it at Feng Ling. Feng Ling's eyes lit up. She took the jerky and started munching on it. Sob sob. "I can finally eat meat." While eating the jerky, Feng Ling's eyes were filled with tears, but her face was filled with happiness. The members of the Great Dragon Guild were speechless. "Have you never eaten meat before?" Chen Ziyu asked curiously. "I have, about 10 years ago," Feng Ling answered while eating. 10 years ago? The members of the Great Dragon Guild were stunned. Then, they looked at the fishing rod in Feng Ling's hand and realized that there was a bundle of grass hanging on the hook. "Sister, are you fishing with grass?" Sydney Lee held her forehead. She felt that there was a reason why this race was almost extinct. Feng Ling finished the jerky and looked satisfied. "This is not grass, it's sunset grass." "Fish eat sunset grass?" Sydney Lee was even more confused. "No, fish eat meat," Feng Ling corrected with a serious face. "If you know that, why are you still fishing with this?" Sydney Lee was speechless, looking at Feng Ling, who looked like she was teaching. "Fish eat meat, but what can I do without meat? I can only use sunset grass to fish, hoping that one day a stupid fish will suddenly want to eat grass and take the bait. Unfortunately, the fish here seem to be quite smart. I've waited for 10 years, but I haven't seen such a stupid fish." Recalling her 10 years of persistence, Feng Ling looked depressed. The members of the Great Dragon Guild were completely defeated by Feng Ling's magical thinking. But when they thought about it carefully, it seemed to make sense. There was nothing they could do without meat. "Are there no wild beasts on this island?" Sydney Lee's curiosity was aroused again. "No, it's said that there were a few thousands of years ago, but they were all eaten by our people. Now we can only survive on grass. By the way, do you have any meat?" Feng Ling's eyes lit up again. "All for you." Sydney Lee, who sympathized with Feng Ling's experience, immediately took out some meat pieces stored in the channel. Seeing the meat pieces in Sydney Lee's hand, Feng Ling trembled with excitement and ran to Sydney Lee's side. A cool breeze blew, and the faint fragrance made Sydney Lee and the others feel relaxed and happy. A game notification appeared. Frowny face blessed by the Singing Woodland Clan's aura, HP +1 per second. Chapter 167. The game notification stunned Chen Ziyu and the others. The lady in front of them did not cast any spells. Did that not mean that the healing halo came from her? Chen Ziyu and the others looked at Winchim differently. Although 1 HP per second did not seem like much, there were hundreds of guild members in a group battle. If the halo's area of effect was large enough, she could recover hundreds of HP per second or tens of thousands of HP per minute. Although there were healing halos in the game, they had a time limit. Large-scale group battles could not be decided in a short amount of time. This permanent healing halo might be able to decide the outcome of a battle. Moreover, according to the analysis, this lady had the ability to increase her healing through chanting. A godly weapon for group battles. This thought popped up in the minds of Chen Ziyu and the others. Looking at Winchim, who was hugging the jerky with a face full of happiness, Shueli suddenly said, "Sister, do you want to have an endless supply of jerky?" "Yes," Winchim answered without hesitation. "Then come with us to the sea. As long as you come with us, we'll have an endless supply of meat. Besides, we run a grilled fish stall at the Lioli coast. We have all kinds of grilled meat," Shueli persuaded. "Okay." Winchim thought for a second and agreed without hesitation. The members of the Great Dragon Guild were speechless. After witnessing Feng Ling's ability, Chen Ziyu had planned to pull Feng Ling onto the Great Dragon Guild ship, but he did not expect it to be so easy. Looking at Feng Ling's innocent look, Chen Ziyu suddenly felt a sense of guilt. She was too gullible. "But I have to go back and tell my people. Do you want to come with me?" Winchim said while chewing on the jerky. "Okay, let's go and have a look." Chen Ziyu's purpose of coming here was to check out the sunset grass. Although he was surprised to find a silly and ignorant lady, he could not forget about his business. Therefore, he led the members of the Great Dragon Guild and followed Winchim into the Sunset Island. "Winchim, do you have a lot of sunset grass here?" Chen Ziyu asked curiously as he walked in the quiet forest and looked at the purple sunset grass along the way. "Yes, the most common plant on the island is the sunset grass. Other than eating it, we grind it to make sunset powder that can heal injuries." "Sunset powder? Do you have it with you?" Chen Ziyu's heart thumped. Wind Chimes immediately brought out a bag of powder from the bag, made of grass, hanging on her waist, and handed it to Chen Ziyu. "This is sunset powder. The sunset powder, level 2 healing. Item details. A healing powder made and ground by the Songbird clan. It contains the psionic power of the Songbird clan. Full consumption will restore 6 HP per second, lasts for 30 seconds. The Guild live chat channel exploded with activity when they saw the attributes of the Sunset Fan. "Boss, we've found the apothecary. We're rich. The rise of our Great Dragon Guild is just around the corner. Boss, let's kidnap their entire village. There's sunset grass everywhere, so there's no cost at all. When the time comes, we'll open a potion shop in the Mansion of the Dead, and soul coins will come in like a waterfall." Chen Ziyu's heart pounded as he listened to the guild members' discussions. Originally, he had planned to harvest a large amount of sunset grass and stock them up to sell when the game officials opened up life professions. However, he did not expect to find a race on this island that could concoct sunset grass. He was going to be rich. With excitement, Chen Ziyu and the others followed Wind Chimes to their destination. The Songbird clan's village was surrounded by a sea of purple sunset grass. A thick and tall ancient tree grew in the center of the village. The houses that the clansmen lived in were built on the branches that extended from the ancient tree. They looked like giant fruits of the ancient tree. The living environment was exceptionally elegant and unique. At this moment, a strong gust of wind blew, and the purple sunset grass swayed like waves. Large patches of grass fluttered in the wind. The world before them was covered in purple like a dreamy fairyland. "It's so beautiful." Shueli reached out and took a few bundles of grass. Her maiden heart was instantly overwhelmed. At this moment, Wind Chimes pouted her red lips and gently blew forward. A light green airflow swept forward, and the purple grass automatically parted to the sides, creating a path for them to move forward. "Let's go. I'll go with you after bidding farewell to the clansmen," Wind Chimes said with anticipation. Looking at the happiness on Wind Chimes' face, Shueli suddenly felt a sense of guilt. Was it a little too much to abduct such an innocent girl to the outside world? Thinking of the Wood Spirit clan that was as innocent and simple as they used to be, and then thinking of the current Wood Spirit clan, Shueli couldn't help but shiver. She murmured, "It's a sin, a sin." When they came to the ancient tree, Chernziu looked at the hundreds of guild members behind him and spoke in the guild live chat channel. Brothers, there are too many of us. Only Shueli and Damong will go up with me. The rest of you can wait here. After giving the order, Chernziu and the other two followed Wind Chime up the stairs made of grass, entering the healing range of the tranquil ancient tree. Your health will be restored by 50 points per second. The sudden appearance of the game prompt made Chernziu and the others look at the ancient tree that exuded an elegant fragrance. Tranquil ancient tree, Ghost King Peak. Analysis details. The guardian spirit of Sunset Island. After hundreds of thousands of years of cultivation, it stopped at the Ghost King Peak realm. In order to break through the realm, it dispersed the spiritual energy in its body. It wanted to seek life through death. When the withered tree comes back to life, it will be the day when the Ghost King ascends to the throne. Oh my God, this tree is as strong as the Sea King. Shueli's eyes widened. Meanwhile, Wang Damong couldn't help but touch the trunk of the tree with his trembling hands. His fingers were even curling in the air. What are you doing? Chernziu couldn't help but shout. I want to deduct some powder. Wang Damong smiled awkwardly as he came back to his senses. It's only dying, not really dead. What if you deduct its life? Besides, this is the territory of the Singing Wood clan. Don't do anything stupid. Chernziu quickly scolded in the live chat channel. Looking at the king-level spiritual material in front of them, Wang Damong and Shueli couldn't help but sigh. They could only give up and continue to walk up. Along the way, beautiful faces peeked out from the wooden houses hanging on the branches and looked at Chernziu and the others curiously. However, after noticing the jerky in Fengling's hand, the sound of saliva swallowing could be heard everywhere. Chernziu and the others couldn't help but want to cover their faces. This clan was so desperate for jerky, it was a little too much. Sister Fengling, is that meat in your hand? A timid voice came from the wooden house at the side. They turned around and found a delicate little girl who looked like a porcelain doll biting her finger. She couldn't stop the tears from dripping from the corner of her mouth, and her eyes were exuding a strong desire. Upon seeing this, Fengling glanced at the jerky in her hand and then looked at the little girl. She handed the jerky to her with trembling hands. Little Duo, this is meat. Eat it. After the little girl took the jerky, Fengling suddenly closed her eyes and looked like she was heartbroken. Chernziu, Wang Damong, Shueli, thank you, Sister Fengling, the little girl said while drooling. However, her eyes were completely focused on the jerky and she didn't look at Fengling at all. After saying goodbye to the little girl, Fengling continued to walk up. Fengling seemed to have lost her soul. While walking, her body was faintly trembling. Chernziu and the others were embarrassed to see Fengling's lost look. How obsessed was this clan with meat? It was as if they had lost their inheritance. Chapter 168. All three of them had the same thought, and that was to stop Fengling's mother from healing Xiao Tian. If she managed to heal Xiao Tian, all the members of the Great Dragon Guild would be killed by Xiao Tian alone. How could he not be familiar with these creatures? They were the ones who caused him to end up like this. However, he didn't expect that they wouldn't let him go even though he had nothing left and only half of his life was left. They actually came looking for him again. Esteemed guest, your brother was discovered by my clansmen on the coast 2 days ago. At that time, he was already on the verge of death. I've managed to save him now, but he's still in a severely injured state. If you're not in a hurry, give me 3 days. I guarantee that he'll recover in 3 days. I'm rich. Seriously injured. No matter how tough my life is, it's not enough for you guys. And that old mother of the miracle doctor, you bunch of liars. Liars. You deserve to die a horrible death, I hate you. But if you don't treat him as soon as possible, your brother's injury is likely to worsen because he has a very serious internal injury. It seems that he was hit by gravity and his internal organs are somewhat displaced. If you don't treat him as soon as possible, there may be sequelae. Shueli laughed. he. Gulp. Fengling's mother swallowed her saliva and quickly opened the door. Mother, I'm back. Xiao Tian, middle stage ghost general. Arriving at the wooden house at the top, Fengling reached out and knocked on the door. Oh, brother Xiao Tian, how did you end up in such a miserable state? My heart aches for you. Wang Damong stepped to Xiao Tian's side and patted his chest with a distressed expression. Character information. The leader of Xiao Tian Regiment, one of the 8 major legions under the Sea King. Due to the theft of the Sea King's treasure, he was deprived of his position as the legion commander and was on the verge of death. He was rescued by his direct subordinates who risked their lives and escaped into the sea. Later, he drifted to Sunset Island and was rescued by the Singing My clan by chance. Brother Xiao Tian, your old mother misses you very much. She talks about you every day at home. Since we've found you, we must bring you back no matter what. Chen Ziyu also walked to Xiao Tian's side and said with a sad expression. Xiao Tian, who only had his eyes exposed, looked at the people who claimed to be his brothers with an indescribable fear in his eyes. This is a big win. It's time to harvest the remaining HP. However, Fengling and her daughter did not pay attention to him at all because their attention was attracted by the jerky in Chen Ziyu's hand. Try not eating meat for 10 years and only eating grass before we discuss this topic, Chen Ziyu said indifferently. But since there were guests around, Win Chime's mother suppressed her desire to eat. She turned around and placed the jerky on the wooden table before she faced Chen Ziyu and the others. If he could move, Xiao Tian really wanted to bite this shameless guy in front of him. Pooh! It really doesn't matter, the 3 of them said in unison. Looking at Xiao Tian, who began to vomit blood, Win Chime's mother was stunned. Xiao Tian roared wildly in his heart. He wanted to open his mouth to remind Fengling and her daughter, but his mouth was tightly wrapped by leaves, and his body was unable to move because of serious injuries. He could only blink constantly to express his thoughts. Wang Damong immediately felt resentful. Swindlers will die a horrible death. Character status. Seriously injured, extremely serious. Thank you for your kindness, but we can't wait any longer. My brother's injuries aren't a problem, and his mother's medical skills are superb. As long as he's still breathing, it won't be a problem. Besides, my brother's life is very tough, he won't die so easily, Chen Ziyu quickly said. Ling who are they? Fengling's mother looked at Chen Ziyu and asked curiously. When Fengling and her daughter saw this, there was a trace of relief in their eyes. We're rich. It really doesn't matter? This one is more lethal, Wang Damong murmured subconsciously. Don't believe it, don't believe it. F***ck. How could you believe that? Didn't you see their sinister smiles? Are you pigs? Don't hand me over to them, please. Brother, I know you are also very excited to see us, but your health is more important. Don't hurt yourself. Wang Damong quickly held Xiao Tian's trembling body. Hearing Chen Ziyu's explanation, Xiao Tian's internal injuries flared up, and he couldn't help but vomit a mouthful of blood, dyeing the grass in front of him red. So, he struggled and whimpered. Fengling's mother trembled, holding the jerky with both hands, staring at the jerky as if she was admiring a rare treasure. Thinking about this group of liars who lied to him that they were sea merchants, and this time, they lied to the mother and daughter of the Singing Wood clan that they were his brothers, especially when he saw Fengling and her daughters look as if they had already believed him, Xiao Tian's mentality was a little broken. Chen Ziyu, yo! We're in a hurry, we're really in a hurry this time. Hearing this, Xiao Tian's eyes showed despair. If he was really taken away by these liars, he didn't even need to think about it to know what would happen to him. Yes, his name is Xiao Tian, and we have a good relationship. We're not biological brothers, but more like biological brothers, Wang Damong quickly said. Soon, there was movement in the wooden house, and the wooden door was then opened. What appeared in front of Chen Ziyu was a beautiful woman, exuding an elegant fragrance. Her beauty could be said to be a notch higher than Fengling's. Standing together with Fengling, they didn't look like mother and daughter at all, but more like sisters. After being welcomed into the house, a burst of herbal fragrance greeted their nostrils, but Chunziu and the others suddenly turned their eyes to a figure wrapped in purple leaves. "Oh, we're old friends, so of course we know each other. We've been looking for him for a long time, but I didn't expect to find him here. This is really fate," Chunziu said with a smile. "Do you know each other?" Fengling's mother saw Chunziu and the others staring at Xiao Tian, so she asked curiously. "Mother, they have meat." Fengling waved the hand that was holding the jerky in front of her mother's nose. "Is this meat really that delicious? This is the first time I feel that meat can be so powerful." Seeing the figure wrapped in grass and leaves like a mummy, the expressions of the three gradually became distorted. Wu Xiao Tian struggled even more at this time. Looking at the eager face of Fengling's mother, Wang Damong couldn't help but speak in the live chat channel. "Thank you for saving my brother's life. I can't repay your kindness, so please accept this little jerky." While saying that, Chunziu handed the jerky to Fengling's mother. "Distinguished guest, please come in." Thinking that this group of people had experienced countless days and nights in the sea in order to find their brother, they were inexplicably touched. "Wang Damong, yo!" Hearing the words of Fengling's mother, Chunziu and the others were stunned, then said in unison. Chapter 169. Looking at Xiao Tian, who kept coughing up blood, Fengling's mother felt that Xiao Tian was about to die. However, Chunziu and the others said that it would not be a problem. They said that as long as Xiao Tian was still breathing, his mother would be able to be saved when they returned home. The ancestral teachings of the songsters of wood was to have a doctor's heart. They must do their best to save the patient as long as it was within their capabilities. But looking at the jerky on the table, Fengling's mother swallowed and nodded. "I'll leave him to you then. Don't worry. My brother may be coughing blood badly, but he's actually very tough. He won't die even if you stab him twice." Wang Damong patted the dying Xiao Tian and said, "By the way, mother, there's one more thing I need to discuss with you." Fengling said, "You've grown up. You should make your own decisions. Don't always ask me." Fengling's mother rubbed Fengling's head and said with a doting look in her eyes, "Mother, I want to go out to sea with them. They'll bring me to eat a lot of delicious meat." Fengling hugged her mother's waist and buried her head in her mother's chest. "No, you're still young. How can you go out to sea? It's dangerous out there. Do you remember what I told you? Our clan has survived until now because we lived in seclusion on this sunset island. Many of the older generation had the same idea as you. They went out to sea to get more food. But that time, our clan was almost wiped out. So, I don't agree with you going out to sea." "Mother!" While Fengling was acting coquettishly, she bumped her mother's balls. Chunziu and Wang Damong, who were watching from the side, could not take it anymore and immediately looked away. Shueli looked down at her own balls and then turned to look at Fengling's mother's. Her face was filled with jealousy. "Mother won't agree. You're my only daughter. I'll never let you step into danger." At this time, Fengling's mother sniffed and looked at Chunziu. She saw him taking out pieces of jerky from the space, and even her favorite grilled fish. "Slurp, Fengling, if you go out to sea, you must take good care of yourself. If you run into danger, you must learn how to run away. If you can't survive outside, come back to me." Fengling raised her head in a daze and found that her mother's eyes were not focused on her at all. "Don't worry, Auntie, we'll take good care of Fengling. We won't let her get hurt. This meat is our gift to you, please accept it." Chunziu pointed at the pile of meat on the ground. When Wind Chime's mother saw so much meat, she quickly nodded. Then, she cast her gaze on Wind Chimes. "Ling you've already grown up. Go and experience the magnificent and wonderful world outside. You can do it. Mother is waiting for you here." Fengling looked at her mother and then at the jerky. She suddenly felt like she had been sold. But she had already made up her mind. She nodded. "Mother, after I've seen the outside world, I'll come back." At that time, I'll bring you enough meat to eat for a lifetime. When Wind Chime's mother heard this, a hint of sadness flashed in her eyes, but she still smiled and nodded. Mother will wait for you to come back. Originally, Chunziu planned to abduct the entire songster clan, but now they gave up on this idea because they focused all their attention on Xiao Tian. They planned to talk about moving the songster clan to the mansion of the dead after dealing with Xiao Tian. After confirming with Wind Chime's mother that they were going to take Feng Ling away, they immediately looked at Xiao Tian. "Brother, let's go home and see your old mother," said Wang Damong as he stepped forward to hug Xiao Tian and put him on his shoulder. "Sob, sob, sob," Xiao Tian whimpered sadly. "This is too King uncomfortable. I'd rather die in the hands of the Sea King than die in the hands of a group of damn liars like you." Smack! Wang Damong slapped Xiao Tian's butt. "Brother, I know you're excited to go home. Don't get too excited and hurt your body. Stop shaking." With Xiao Tian on his shoulder, the four of them began to walk down the tree. Along the way, Wind Chimes could not help but cry. She turned back to wave goodbye to her mother from time to time. This was the first time she left home. In addition to her curiosity and desire for the outside world, she was also reluctant to leave her homeland where she had lived for decades. When Wind Chimes and the others disappeared from her sight, Wind Chimes' mother sighed. "Ancestor, is this really a good decision? She was her only daughter and her most precious treasure. How could she be exchanged with flesh?" Originally, she would not have agreed to Feng Ling's decision to go out to sea because she knew how innocent her daughter was. The dangers of the outside world were not something a woman like her, who had not been involved in the affairs of the mortal world, could understand. However, when she was chatting with Chunziu just now, the voice of the guardian spirit of the Sunset Island, the tranquil ancient tree, appeared in her mind, telling her to let Wind Chimes go. This was an opportunity for the Songster clan to rise. "Wind Song, do you know why I asked you to let Wind Chimes go?" The old voice sounded in Wind Song's mind. "Even if I don't know why, I understand that Ancestor's decision is naturally for the future of our clan," Wind Song said to the sky. "When they approached me, I sensed a different soul. At that time, I used the death sign to investigate, and then I saw hope in them. That was true hope. I don't know why they, who are so weak, can have a golden future, but I know that their future will not be ordinary. And Feng Ling, who is with them, also has a golden hope. So, all of this is for the sake of our clan, I hope you can understand." Hearing the ancestor's explanation, Wind Song was stunned. How could she not know what the death sign was? It was a power that the ancestor comprehended when she entered a state of near death and wanted to break through to the next realm. The ancestor had a total of 3 strands of the death sign's aura. She did not expect that one strand would be used on these outsiders. Wind Song nodded solemnly. "Ancestor, I understand." Looking in the direction that Wind Chimes left, Wind Song's eyes suddenly flashed with excitement. Then, she turned around and entered the house. "Meat, meat, meat that can't be finished." The tranquil ancient tree. After saying goodbye to the clansmen along the way, Chunziu and the others finally walked down the ancient tree. When the guild members saw the mummy on Wang Dameng's shoulder, they were confused. However, after analyzing the mummy, everyone was shocked. They had all participated in the plundering battle on Xiao Tian Island, so how could they not be familiar with this ghost General Big Boss? Looking at the surprised eyes of the guild members, Wang Damong patted Xiao Tian's butt proudly. "This is our brother Xiao Tian. This time, we'll take him home to see his old mother." Hearing this, the guild members were embarrassed, but then their eyes lit up. How could they not know how valuable a ghost general boss was? This time, they felt that they were really going to be rich. Xiao Tian began to cough blood again. He felt that he was going to die of anger before he was killed. These damn liars were getting more and more outrageous. At the same time, he secretly gritted his teeth. If there was a chance to recover, he would definitely take revenge. Chapter 170. Before leaving Sunset Island, the members of the Great Dragon Guild gathered a large amount of sunset grass and piled them up in the space, preserving them as value-added materials. As the Great Dragon warship slowly left the coast, Windling stood at the stern and looked at Sunset Island from afar. Her heart was stirred. Her long hair fluttered in the wind. She reached out her hand to hold the petal hat that was about to be blown away by the wind. Her eyes were filled with reluctance. "Sister Windling, I'll introduce a lot of friends to you when we get to Bakey. Oh right, there's also the Wood Spirit clan who knows how to brew wine. They're fun," Shweli comforted Windling when she saw the reluctance in her eyes. "Okay." Fongling smiled faintly, and the charming charm she showed in that instant made Shweli, who was also a girl, fall into a trance for a few seconds. Then, Windling stuck out her tongue mischievously. "Shweli, let me sing you a song." Yes, I want to hear it." Shweli nodded quickly when she heard Windling sing. Windling blinked, clasped her hands in front of her chest, and lowered her head to sing. The melodious and ethereal voice sounded on the Great Dragon warship. It seemed to be saying goodbye or telling a story. It was pleasant to listen to, and the members of the Great Dragon Guild were intoxicated by it. The warship sailed through the waves in the song and slowly disappeared at the end of the sea. When the Great Dragon warship approached the Liuli coast, they disembarked. They first brought Windling to a barbecue stall run by the Great Dragon Guild and treated her to a good meal. Windling's eyes lit up when she saw so much meat. She ate until her belly was full, unwilling to put down the barbecue in her hand. If Shweli did not stop her, Chernziu suspected that Windling would have stuffed herself to death. After Windling was full, the members of the Great Dragon Guild brought her to the mansion of the dead. At the same time, Xiao Tian, who was wrapped up like a mummy, was also brought along. Chernziu originally planned to kill Xiao Tian on the ship to avoid trouble. However, the game notification made him give up on this idea. Special mission. Capture the enemy general. Mission details. Bring the heavily injured Xiao Tian to Tonghua. Mission reward. 10,000 soul coins, 1 custom-made epic-level weapon, level 55. Chernziu could not reject this reward. He had changed his occupation to a rune master and had wanted a pair of custom-made gloves for a long time. However, the soul coins required were too high and he could not afford it at all. Therefore, after much consideration and discussion with the guild members, they decided to hand Xiao Tian over to Tonghua in exchange for a high reward for the quest. After stepping into the mansion of the dead's safe zone, Chernziu received another mission notification. Special mission. Partner recruitment. Quest description. Make the Songwood clan member Winchim recite the following oath. 500 words have been omitted here. Mission reward. Winchim will become an NPC of Bakey and be bound to the Great Dragon Club. She will also be given a special ability, Immortal Soul. Immortal Soul, passive skill bound to NPCs. Skill description. The soul of a character transformed into a guild NPC will not be destroyed. After death, the character can be resurrected at the guild base by spending a number of soul coins equivalent to the character's strength. Without a base, the character's soul will be temporarily preserved and cannot be resurrected. This prompt delighted Chernziu and the others. Winchim was just a weak girl. Although the mansion of the dead was safe, no one could guarantee that there would be another natural disaster or something like that. Perhaps the players would be wiped out and Winchim's safety could not be guaranteed. After all, Winchim was the same as the characters in the game like Moment and The Rock. She did not belong to the players and could not be resurrected after death. However, it was different now. As long as they could turn Winchim into an NPC, the biggest problem could be solved. Immediately, a group of people surrounded Winchim, who was rubbing her round belly. Upon seeing this, Winchim raised her head cutely with a hint of confusion in her eyes. "Sister Winchim, you recite one sentence after me," Shweli said excitedly. "No, I'm not going to recite anymore, I'm stuffed to death now," Winchim quickly shook her head. "After you recite the sentence, You will be rewarded with 10 pieces of roasted crimson fruit fish. Shweli saw this and immediately used her trump card. This crimson fruit fish was a spiritual fish. Shweli did not believe that Winchim would not take the bait. Sure enough, upon hearing the crimson fruit fish, Winchim's eyes lit up. I'll recite it. Thus, one sentence after another, Winchim finished reciting the 500-word oath. Suddenly, the artifact sensed Winchim's soul fluctuation and sucked her into the artifact. Since Winchim was not as strong as Tongua, Lu Wu and Bailey did not show up this time. The artifact automatically started digitizing according to the preset program. In less than 5 minutes, Winchim was sent out of the channel again. I think I fell asleep just now. Winchim raised her head in a daze and realized that Chunziu and the others were looking at her expectantly. Sister Winchim, did you see that? It's the guild panel. We can chat in the guild channel from now on. Winchim was stunned. As the artifact imprinted the information in her mind, she immediately understood what the guild panel was. After confirming that Winchim had been converted into an NPC, Chunziu planned to hand over Xiao Tian to complete the mission before discussing the production of the medicinal powder with Winchim. When they arrived in front of Tonggua's workshop, the Great Dragon Guild members looked like they had expected this. The door of Tonggua's workshop was closed as usual. The arrogant warning sign was still hung in an obvious place. Bang! Bang! Chunziu had no choice but to knock on the door. When Chunziu knocked on the door, Lu Wu, who had been observing everything, immediately roared and woke up the drunken Tonggua and told him what to do. Tonggua had no choice but to get up and open the door. You're here? Put it down. Your mission is complete. Seeing that Wang Damong put down Xiao Tian, Tonggua spoke again. By the way, close the door when you leave. Master Tonggua, where's our reward for custom-made weapons? Chunziu could not help but ask when he heard the notification that he had completed the mission but only received soul coins as a reward. Tomorrow, come back tomorrow. Tonggua waved his hand impatiently, looking as if he was telling them not to disturb him. Chunziu and the others had no choice but to walk out of the workshop and close the door. Sister Winchim, we'll bring you to the Wood Spirit Clan now. You can stay there for the time being until we have a base. Sure. I also want to meet the kind Wood Spirit Clan that you mentioned. Winchim looked curious. Hearing Winchim say that the Wood Spirit Clan was kind, Chunziu and the others looked at Shweli. I'm talking about the past. Shweli explained awkwardly. On the way to the Wood Spirit Clan's residence, Shweli looked at Winchim curiously and asked, Sister Winchim, how many portions of sunset powder can you make in a day? Sunset powder? I don't know how to make it. Winchim blinked her eyes innocently. Cough, cough, cough. Chunziu and the others, who were listening attentively, could not help but cough, while Shweli was also dumbfounded. You don't know how to make sunset powder? Shweli asked again, thinking that she had misheard. No, but my mother knows how to make it. Winchim squinted her eyes and smiled. The members of the Great Dragon Guild were speechless. Then do you know how to make other potions? Shweli still had a glimmer of hope in her heart. No, those potions are too troublesome to make, so I didn't learn them. I'm focused on studying fishing skills. Shweli was speechless. At this moment, the dreams of the Great Dragon Guild members were shattered. They were all stunned. What's wrong with you guys? Winchim blinked her eyes. Chunziu and the others shook their heads and forced a smile on their faces, but in their hearts they were crying. What potion shop? What making money every day? Everything was gone. Chapter 171. In Tonggua's forging room in the mansion of the dead of Beiki. Looking at Tonggua, who was lying back on the bed and ignoring Xiao Tian, Lu Wu, who was already speechless, roared again, waking Tonggua up. Isn't it just recruiting a weakling? Why do I have to do such a small thing myself? Sigh, I have to lower my head when I'm under someone else's roof. Tonggua complained. He then got up from the bed and strode to Xiao Tian. He lifted his foot and kicked Xiao Tian. Hey, I'll say one sentence after another, and you'll say one sentence after another. Xiao Tian was speechless. Under the cycle of reincarnation, I swear. After reading the first sentence, Tong Gua saw that Xiao Tian did not move, so he immediately lifted his foot and kicked him again. Did you hear what I told you to read? Are you disrespecting me by not saying a word? Xiao Tian cursed in his heart. If you want me to read, open the leaves that seal my mouth first. I seriously suspect that you are deliberately kicking me. Tong Gua sighed as he seemed to understand Xiao Tian's situation. He waved his wings and slashed at Xiao Tian's mouth. Suddenly, the grass and leaves broke and scattered. Kid, can you read it now? Who are you? Where is this place? Xiao Tian immediately asked. Who am I? Tong Gua's expression gradually became smug. Xiao Tian, kid, I just beat up your boss a few days ago. Who do you think I am? Xiao Tian's expression froze when he heard this. He raised his head and looked at Tong Gua carefully. Then, his expression became more and more frightened. You are Tong Gua the Ghost King. Now you know how powerful I am. Now be obedient, or else I have 10,000 ways to make you wish you were dead. Also, if you're obedient, then you'll have a chance at revenge. Revenge? Xiao Tian could not help but be stunned. Weren't you seriously injured by the Sea King? Don't you hate him? Tong Gua said as he bent down to pick up a bottle of wine. He shook it and found that it was empty, so he threw it on the ground again. Hearing this, Xiao Tian's heart surged with anger. He had been working for the Sea King all his life, and became one of the commanders of the Sea King Navy with his own effort. However, the Sea King did not care about the past and almost killed him. If it were not for his subordinates who risked their lives to save him, he would not have been able to live in this world. Hey! Xiao Tian answered decisively since he had already broken off relations with the Sea King. There was nothing to hide. Do you want revenge? Yes, but… Xiao Tian felt powerless when he thought of the Sea King's strength. As the commander of the Sea King Navy, he clearly knew how powerful the Sea King was. This kind of power was not only the strength of the Ghost King Peak realm, but also the huge sea army under his control. With his ability, it would be impossible for him to take revenge in this lifetime. No buts. If you want revenge, I'll help you. Tong Gua smiled and squatted down. You'll help me? Xiao Tian looked confused as he looked at the smiling Tong Gua. If it was Tong Gua, Roaring Heaven believed that he had the strength to fight against the Sea King. After all, he had heard the news of the Sea King being beaten up by Tong Gua. However, he did not believe that Tong Gua would help him for no reason. Tell me, what do you want? I only have half my life left. I can't give you anything else. I want half of your life to be loyal to me, us. Alright. Xiao Tian agreed without hesitation. After all, it was just a promise, and he would not lose anything. It's not as simple as you think. Now I'll recite one sentence and you'll recite one sentence after me, Tong Gua said as he patted Xiao Tian's head. What do you want me to recite? Xiao Tian felt slightly uneasy. The Oath of Soul Allegiance. Tong Gua did not hide anything. After all, at Xiao Tian's level, he would naturally understand if he continued to recite it. What? The Oath of Soul? Xiao Tian was stunned. If you recite it, I promise to help you recover from your injuries. At the same time, I promise you that I will destroy the Sea King. This is not a bad deal, right? Your lowly life in exchange for the Sea King's life, Tong Gua said calmly. Lu Wu, who saw this scene from the outside, could not help but admire Tong Gua's acting skills. Xiao Tian was stunned by Tong Gua's words. All right, I promise you. Although there was a trace of unwillingness in his heart. However, just as Tong Gua had said, it was worth it to exchange the Sea King's life for his. Moreover, if he did not receive treatment now, his physical condition would gradually deteriorate and he would die. Moreover, it was not a bad thing to be loyal to Tong Gua. Although Tong Gua's power was not as great as the Sea King's, Tong Gua's personal strength was stronger than the Sea King's. Seeing that Xiao Tian had agreed, Tong Gua nodded calmly. All right, next, recite it with me. After reciting the Oath of Soul Allegiance, Xiao Tian's figure was suddenly sucked into the artifact space. The artifact operated automatically and began to digitize Xiao Tian. Due to Xiao Tian's powerful strength, the digitization lasted for half an hour. After the digitization was completed, a stream of soul power flowed into Xiao Tian's body and completely healed his internal injuries. Then, Xiao Tian was sent out of the artifact space. Seeing Xiao Tian reappear, Tong Gua patted his shoulder. Kid, take a look at what's in your head and you'll know what kind of state you're in now. By the way, you're now my subordinate. From now on, you'll be responsible for lighting the fire when forging weapons. Also, you'll have to know how to clean the room, do the laundry and cook. Xiao Tian clenched his fists and was shocked. He could not believe that he had fully recovered from his serious injuries. However, he was stunned when he heard what Tong Gua said. I'm a ghost general. Lighting a fire? Washing? Cooking? Cleaning? Just as Xiao Tian was in a daze, pieces of information appeared in his mind. At this moment, he knew what kind of camp he had joined. Boss. Tong Gua, you're my subordinate too? Xiao Tian pointed upwards. Yes, I've mistakenly entered a pirate ship and can't get off, Tong Gua sighed as he spoke. Who are those people up there? Xiao Tian could not help but ask curiously as he had never seen Lu Wu and Bailey before. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Mind your own business. Can't you see the wine bottles on the floor? Clean them up quickly. Damn it, why am I living in this messy house? It's like a pigsty. Clean it up quickly. Tong Gua could not help but scold as he pointed at the wine bottles on the floor. Xiao Tian was speechless. Although he had many questions about the identity of the person behind the artifact, Xiao Tian did not dare to ask any further. In his opinion, the person who could create such a terrifying artifact was at least an underworld god. It would be a piece of cake for him to kill a ghost general like him. Moreover, a powerful ghost king like Tong Gua was also subservient to him. Xiao Tian had nothing to complain about. Looking at the sloppy house, Xiao Tian sighed. There was no way. He could only start to clean up. Revenge begins with cleaning,